But I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
It was a rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be helping.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
So you said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 0, 1, 1,
self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. This is the Happy Thanksgiving edition of Troubled Minds Radio. What's going on, guys? I hope everybody had a fantastic day out there. Hope everybody is safe and warm and happy and all of the good things that we're supposed to be doing today. And yeah, what is this show? If you find yourself here in this bizarre place as you're loaded up on tryptophan and thinking about a nap, well, this is the show where we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. And what are those things? You know, aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. And of course, well, with that, we can start with the upside down in just one example. Let's talk about Thanksgiving. Like I said last night and the previous night, isn't it strange that we live in the upside down in the sense that we have to have a day to be thankful? A day to remind us that we should be thankful for the things we have. When, of course, right, it should be the opposite, shouldn't it? We should be thankful for the things we have every single day. And I'm not going to go on a soapbox tangent about that, but it's just, that's really what this show's about. Just sort of a microcosm example of what we do on this show. There's so many things that are happening out there that are just seem backwards. And, you know, you can start with politics. You can start with basically anything. You can start with the laws on the books. You can start with literally all the things I said at the beginning there with the government, academia, and all the rest of this. Everything just seems to be upside down, right? And, well, that's what we talk about. That's what we're doing, and that's what we're going to do tonight, per usual, right? But before we do that, we got a couple things to get to, which, of course, is we're live. As always, this is a conversation that goes two ways. I start the conversation. I bring some sort of topic, some sort of idea, some sort of concept, something, and then we talk about it. We get together and we consider these things, and what does this actually mean? And well, that's it. It's as simple as that. And so, as a part of being live, well, we're streaming streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, D-Live, and Twitter. And, of course, we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. And this is what we're doing. We're hanging out, having a conversation with friends, and that's what this is really about. So if you want to be part of the show, simple as this, you dial this phone number. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can go to troubledminds.org. That's the official website. And click the Discord link. Discord is a chat client. It's a voice client. It's totally free, and you don't have to use that 702 area code. Some people still have minutes they count. International types get charged international rates with the 702 Las Vegas area code, which, of course, is where we're broadcasting from. But if you use Discord, none of that applies. If you have an internet connection, it's all free. It's all free. And we also have another Discord room running over at fringe.fm/chat. And that'll give you a direct invite. I'm watching all the chats and all the places, trying to keep up, trying to do 10 things at once. And, well, that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do anyway. So tonight, let's see, what do we get? We got that. How about one more thing? So if you want to, the easiest way to listen to Troubled Minds, if you're on the road or away from your regular machines and can't watch the streams or whatever, easy peasy, download the Fringe.fm app. Go to your app store, Apple, iTunes, or your Android app store, and it's completely free, and just download the Fringe app, and you can just smash the play button at 7:06 Monday through Thursday, when that's when we do this, 7:06 p.m. Okay, so anyway, with all of that aside, well, what are we doing tonight? I figured I was thinking of a number of things that, hopefully we could do something a little more fun, right? A little kind of not really like we normally do. Not going to be too heavy here tonight because, everybody, like I said, is their belly's full usually. Hopefully, if you're blessed, your belly's full and you're just kind of chilling out as the sun went down, and or who knows, maybe still watching football or something else, or some projects at home, whatever it is. Like I said, I hope you are on the better end of things. And yeah, there we go. So I was thinking about doing all kinds of stuff tonight, just some fun stuff. Some, like I always say, when people zig, we zag. And well, there was something that came up in the news over the past couple days that I think we have to talk about. I think we have to do this. I try and dodge a lot of this news these days because it's so much of it is actually propaganda. But I think this is pretty important on what's actually happening in the world we live in. And to give you an idea of why I say that we live in the upside down. And so, meaning this, okay, let's start with this. There's okay. Before I do this, let me explain real quick. So when I say that we look at propaganda and the academia and the government and all this stuff in the beginning of the show there, it's because I'm watching very closely these news cycles, and I'm trying to decipher the code, the riddle. And the riddle is, right, what's actually true and what actually is the propaganda shiny objects that they don't want us, that they want us watching instead of the things that are important, right? And so it's this big riddle. It's literally a big riddle because there are intelligence agencies the world over that are doing nothing but concocting ways to wrangle back news cycles when something unflattering hits the news, right? And in the old days, journalism used to be, that you would print something because you had, you could expose corruption or fraud or both, or, something to this effect. But now when they do those things, it's turned the other way. Like all of the mainstream media is basically just propaganda outlets in and of themselves. So the information you get from them is garbage. I mean, literally, there's no easier way to put it. You can get more vulgar, but garbage is probably a pretty good way to start that. But the reason I bring that up is to lead in this story and what's going on tonight is that they do this thing to manage news cycles, right? The government does, and it's called dumping day, all right? And they usually release sort of provocative or embarrassing type, news releases on Friday at approximately 5 p.m., 6 p.m. Eastern time. All right, because they expect that on Friday, people are going to get their drink on. They're going to go to a barbecue. They're going to do those sorts of things. They're going to maybe go out of town. They kind of check out. Their regular schedules become their weekend schedules, okay? That's just the way the world works, the world we live in. I'm not teaching anybody anything new here. But the reason they do that and they release these all of this pretty sketchy stuff on these Friday afternoons, the dumping day, is because they want to be able to have us be distracted over the weekend as we kind of unplug and chill out or do whatever hobbies we have. So Monday, when something else happens, they can re-engage the news cycle as they want us to perceive it. You see, it's all a big hocus pocus game. And so part of what I do is doing this show is I watch those news cycles closely because I'm trying to determine what they want us to know and what they don't. All right, because therein lies the riddle of what's actually happening in this world. And so that's why I'm doing what I'm doing tonight. Like I said, usually I've been skipping over these kind of stories recently because they are mostly propaganda. But this one, the plot kind of thickens because not only, so we have clearly an American holiday. Thanksgiving is today. We're doing this on Thanksgiving. Possibly the only radio game in town, and I'm okay with that. But the thing is this, right? They released last night, right? Talk about dumping day of all dumping days. They squeaked out this little tidbit that we're about to get to. So think about that. The day before Thanksgiving, which of course Thanksgiving, then we have Black Friday, the biggest shopping day of the year, at least one of them. Then we have the weekend. Most people are traveling, spending time with family, all the rest of this. Talk about the ultimate dumping day. In the entire year, it would be the day before Thanksgiving. All right. And so as I was thinking of ideas for the show today, this article just kept coming up, and I don't think we can ignore it. I definitely can't ignore it. And I think because there's a lot going on with this. All right. And yes, it is regarding UFOs. UFOs are back in the news. OK, but the thing is, they squeaked it in late last night, just before Thanksgiving, so that they could say that, well, I don't know. You tell me. Why are they trying to hide this and cover it up? I got some theories, but of course, I'd like to hear your theories. So as we get to this article and start talking about UFOs tonight and the government and legislation and all the rest of this stuff regarding this whole UFO activism movement that's happening, well, I got a few questions for you tonight, as always, right? And so the questions begin here. Do you think any level of UFO activism, any level whatsoever, short of violence, because I'm not into that and I don't think that's the way to change things, but any level of UFO activism, or what do you think it would take for the government to actually come clean and tell us everything they know, or at least, let's say, a good portion, whatever that means, a good portion of what they know regarding UFOs? What do you think it would take? Do you think there's anything, or what sort of movement do you think it would take to have the government finally spill the beans, right? We're going all the way back to 1947, Roswell, right? The very first infamous UFO crash, Roswell, New Mexico. We still don't have answers on that. Remember, it's a weather balloon. That's still the official story. But it seems like it's a little bit murkier than that. And so, well, what's the truth? That's the question tonight. That's one of them, right? What level of UFO activism do you think it would take to actually make the government spill the beans? All right. Number two, why do you think the day before Thanksgiving, they're leaking this information? They're releasing this information, which I'm going to get to right now. What the timing is so peculiar with this that let's just do it. Let's get into this and read a little bit of this. But this is the thing. So, and then not only that, of course, we're just talking about UFOs in general and the periphery tonight. Like I said, we're going to have a little bit of fun. So if you guys have seen UFOs, have UFO stories, if you have theories on what this might be, and of course, we include all the things. Like that's part of what Troubled Minds is. We talk about drinking the maybe juice, right? And considering all the options, all of the things, because the whole point of propaganda and the governments that have power maintaining and managing news cycles is because they don't want us to consider all the possibilities. They want us to only consider the possibilities presented to us, you see? And so that's why on this show, We think outside the box and consider all the possibilities. So tonight, as part of that, what are your theories on what are these UFOs, these Tic Tacs, the three incidents, the Nimitz incident and all the Go Fast and the gimbal and all this stuff? Got tons of actual press the last several years here. And I've got my own take on this. We've talked about this a lot on this show, right? Since all the way back to To the Stars Academy, Tom DeLonge and his outfit, Lou Elizondo, Chris Mellon, these guys who are now UFO activists, sort of. And, well, I don't know. What's suspicious here? Okay, well, let's start with this. Reported by phys.org today. Yesterday, I'm sorry. What's today? What's the date today? It's the 25th. This was yesterday. And this is what I'm saying. This all came out yesterday. This is nuts. Pentagon creates new office to probe UFO reports. And I picked this one because this is the only one to use the word probe. And I thought that was pretty cheeky. So good job, phys.org. Let's probe the UFO reports, if you catch my meaning. Okay, but anyway, here we go. The Pentagon is creating a new office to investigate unidentified flying objects amid concerns that after broad probes, it cannot explain mysterious sightings near highly sensitive military areas. All right. Now, not only that, they got to sneak in broad probes. You see what I'm saying? Like the jokes here make themselves. And they got to slam dunk these easy jokes because this is still a topic of ridicule, isn't it? Right? This is phys.org, right? Oh, we're going to the wide probes, the broad probes, the big probes, the probes, right? The UFO probes. Got it, phys.org, got it, right? And not the headline, but also in the first paragraph. Come on, get out of here. Anyway, Deputy Secretary of Defense Kathleen Hicks, working with the U.S. Director of National Intelligence, ordered the new investigatory body to be established in the United States Defense Department's Intelligence and Security Office, the Pentagon said late Tuesday. Okay, so this was Tuesday night. Late Tuesday. And literally it was like 8 p.m., something like that, Tuesday. And so this kind of, it even almost bypassed me, right? And I watch stuff closely. I watch news cycles closely. And I almost ignored it as just another thing, right? Just another UFO thing, right? Because that stuff's in the news constantly, and a lot of it's garbage, all right? By and large, mostly garbage. But then I looked a little closer today, and I was like, wait a minute here. There's something fishy about this. So before we get to the fishy about this, let's get to this. The order came 5 months after a classified U.S. intelligence report on possible alien UFOs came up inconclusive. The old word, inconclusive. It could explain some reported incidents, but was unable to account for other phenomena, some filmed by pilots near military testing areas. And we covered this very closely this summer. We even, to the point we termed it the Summer of Saucers, right? Because we had this huge report that was supposed to come out, UFO transparency and all the rest of this stuff. We were like, yeah, right, here we go. We're gonna finally know about the UFOs. And then, well, there were some terms we used, and the term nothing burger came up quite often, right? The term, underwhelming, all right? Like all kinds of different things kind of popped out, and it was just more obfuscation. It was more government being not transparent, the opposite, in fact, and not really telling us anything we kind of already didn't know. And so, that right there shows you the government is still playing games with all of this. And what I mean by that, of course, is you go all the way back. Remember, there's a history here. This is not a brand new thing where suddenly it's like, oh, yeah, by the way, the UFOs, it's a new thing. We're going to look into this. No. Go all the way back. 1947, July, Roswell crash. September 1947, the very next month, 2 months later, actually, there was something called the National Security Act, whereby they could classify information from the American people in the name of national security, all right? Which is, of course, is the world we live in today. They invented the CIA in that same motion, the National Security Act, and which, of course, brought forth all kinds of horrific things, as we know. Regime changes the world over, like clandestine assassinations, MK Ultra, all kinds of dirty stuff, right? all came from that 1947 National Security Act. So this is not new. All right. And not only that, remember, shortly thereafter, in the mid-50s, beginning of the early 60s, they started investigating because people were interested in UFOs. All right. People were interested. And so they did Project Blue Book. You remember this? They had this whole investigation. Famously, J. Allen Hynek, right? An actual academic was recruited into the Air Force to legitimize the investigation into UFOs because of the public interest. All right, because people were seeing these things. People were seeing them flying around. We got the UFO flap over the White House in 1953, I believe it was. I mean, literally, everybody out there was seeing something in the sky. And the reason, probably a large part of the reason you guys are here listening to this at all is probably because you've seen something as well. All right? There's something out there. What is it? I don't know. I don't have those answers. Okay? But it goes all the way back to 1947, this cover-up. And it seems like they buttoned the lid with the National Security Act in 1947 to specifically cover up this UFO phenomenon. All right? Now, the weird part about this is we go all the way through Project Blue Book, which again was kind of written off as a basically more cover-up, more of a phony transparency effort, okay? Meaning J. Allen Hynek actually went into it. They brought an academic in so that he could debunk some of the findings from Project Blue Book, all right? And, well, notably and famously, he went in as a skeptic because they brought him in to debunk some of these things. But there were so many cases that he could not explain. Well, in the end, he became a believer himself, J. Allen Hynek, all right? And even to the point where, of course, he's passed away, rest in peace. But before he passed away, or shortly thereafter, he actually had enacted his own UFO investigation company, center. Like it's a thing. So he became, from the skeptic that saw the actual Blue Book files, Project Blue Book, he became a believer that something was happening out there that we could not explain scientifically, all right? And there's your UFO, right? There's your UFO. Whatever that means, like I said, whatever your ideas on that are, that's fine. But interestingly, notably, a short holiday week, Tuesday night at about 8 p.m., they release this. Pentagon creates new office to probe UFO reports. And what the heck does that mean? Why would they do that? Not only that, there's a bill being pressed through Congress right now by one Kirsten Gillibrand, if you guys know who she is. Well, and so if there's a bill going through Congress for UFO transparency, how come the Pentagon just goes, oh, by the way, we'll just give it to you. Here you go. Think about that. Think about how suspicious that sounds. And that's what made my antenna go up. I was like, wait, these two things are not the same thing at all. There's something here, right? So I strapped on the tinfoil and dug in, and we're going to talk about this tonight. And the question is, again, so we can have a little bit of fun tonight. What are your theories on what the UFOs are? That's always fun to talk about. We'll add that as part of this conversation, part of the discussion. But why? Why now? Why do you think just before a day and a half before Thanksgiving, right? Again, like I said, probably the ultimate dumping day of the year. This comes out. The Pentagon releases this. We've got the full Pentagon statement. We'll read it. Look at some of these articles. We've got a statement by, of course, Jeremy Corbell. And, well, what does all of this mean? And should we expect actual transparency? I think that's the craziness here, right? Is we're somehow supposed to expect that because the Pentagon says, well, here you go, that we're going to be satisfied, all right? I've always said, give me the data, right? Give us photographs. Give us video. They have 3 videos that they gave to us. The Tic Tac, Gimbal, Go Fast, Flare, right? But if they have 3, they have 30. If they have 30, they have 3,000 videos. If they have 3,000 videos, they have terabytes of information. Let's see it. I do not believe, personally, that this is going to be any sort of transparency effort because they haven't given us a good faith effort yet. So what are your thoughts? We're talking about UFOs tonight. UFO transparency. If you want to be part of this discussion, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More UFOs, the government, and you when we return. Be right back. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter, and we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. And we're taking your phone calls tonight as we talk about UFOs, UFO activism, UFO transparency from the government, and of course, we may as well talk about your theories on what these UFOs actually are. Are they ours? Are they theirs? Are they Russia, China, something else, the breakaway civilization? Let's include that because why the hell not? If you want to be part of the show tonight, love to hear your thoughts on this. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. All right, so this information just clunked out late Tuesday night, which is, again, not very characteristic of a news cycle situation unless they're trying to cover something up, right? And so, again, let's go back to this article from phys.org, and you'll never believe this, right? So as we're, getting ready and shopping and doing our stuff and getting ready for Turkey Day and all the rest of this, right? They drop this stuff out and say that they're creating a new office, a new UFO office within the Pentagon. And, I guess transparency is here, right? Transparency is ours. We will know all the things about UFOs coming soon. Right? So goes the story. Anyway, here. The order came 5 months after a classified U.S. intelligence report on possible alien UFOs when it came up inconclusive. It could explain some reported incidents, but was unable to account for other phenomena, some filmed by pilots near military testing areas, which was that report from this summer, which many dubbed the Nothing Burger. All right? So this continues. The new office will focus on incidents in or near designated special use airspace, SUA they call it, or areas strictly controlled and blocked from general aviation due to security sensitivities. Now, wait, what? Wait, what? When I read that, I was like, wait, come on, wait. Okay, so this is the thing, right? If we're talking about UFO transparency, why are we limiting the scope of the Transparency Office? First off, the very first thing that came to my mind, I was like, really? Seriously? We're supposed to be happy about this? All right, now look, and I'm coming from the angle here that I want to know. All right? I got the poster on the wall right here. I want to believe. But I also, more importantly, I want to know the truth. I want to know what's going on. I want to know what the government actually knows, because if there is some sort of extraterrestrial incursion in any capacity whatsoever, it changes the paradigm of life as we know it. It's probably the largest question we have to answer. And the government kicking and screaming, not giving us a damn thing. That's the part that irritates me. Because if it's actually out there and they have data to suggest, by the way, as Lou Elizondo has suggested, that he hasn't said it outright because he's got NDAs and security clearances and they'd probably throw him in jail and all the rest of this, right? But he said that if the public actually knew the truth, it would be a somber moment in human history. A somber moment, his words, right? The next day after you found out, it would be a moment of contemplation, because it would change everything. And so if he's saying things like this, either, right, and I'm open to all the ideas, right? Lou Elizondo, of course, was the insider that worked for the Pentagon. The program was called ATIP, AATIP, the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. And, well, he's worked with Tom DeLonge and that To the Stars Academy for this whole bit, right? If you guys don't know, if you're not in on who these people are, that's my job. I'm here to fill you in and kind of at least give you a rough framework to work on here, to work with, so you understand, all right? So this guy, Lou Elizondo, who supposedly ran the UFO actual program in the Pentagon, this guy said that it would be a somber day if the public found out about what the government actually knows. And he's out there trying to get it out, right? And, well, so is he some sort of CIA op, right? He did work in the intelligence community, right? Not that I'm saying everybody that works in the IC, the intelligence community, is some sort of disinformation campaigner, right? But, or is he actually trying to change the paradigm of life as we know it? And I think that's the weird part here, right? Because you can't discount the fact, either way, of he's trying to do something. So what is it? That's another question tonight. What do you think is going on with all of that? We've talked about that quite a bit, so if you guys are sick of that conversation, I completely understand. I've been kind of shying away from UFOs for quite a bit on this show here, since the end of the summer, basically, because we got the nothing burger, and then it was like the infighting on the internet and all the rest of it, right? But anyway, let's go back to this. Like I said, looking to hear your thoughts on this. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And there's more. So, okay. So the new office will focus on, and here's the point that triggered me. The new office will focus on incidents in or near designated special use airspace. Areas strictly controlled and blocked from general aviation due to security sensitivities. So they're basically saying they'll only investigate things in super classified areas, right? Places, no-fly zones. That's basically what this says. Which means, of course, those areas are already controlled by the government. And so they could just tell us whatever the hell they want to tell us. Whether it's the aliens are here, or whether it's, no, it's just another weather balloon, guys. Swamp gas and the rest of this, right? It's just Venus in the night sky. Are you guys dreaming? No. So that's the thing that really made me want to strap on some more tinfoil, because when you start limiting the scope of an investigation that's literally a worldwide phenomenon at this point, right? The UFO thing, right? Whatever this is. But if you want to suddenly say, oh, look, we're going to give you the answers, except we're going to limit the scope of the investigation to non-public places. Oh, well that's handy. well, that's super handy. Well, you know, I mean, they could have told us all that information anyway. So to me, this is an op. This is a way to say, look, the government is trying to be transparent. It's trying to put UFOs in the headlines, trying to say we're making headway on this. However, what's really going on? What's really happening here? What are your thoughts? That's what we're talking about tonight, just hanging out. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. We're, like I said, possibly the only radio game in town because everybody probably took the day off, but not us. Not us. We're still doing this. We're still talking about all kinds of crazy stuff here. And what's up? Nathan over on Rockfin says, the shadow government and elites are the non-human terrestrials and have been. And Charlie says, the new office will specialize in wasting tax money. Yeah. Robert says, hey, we like UFO topics, but you're right to space them, Michael. Yeah, well, I think too much UFOs to get bogged down in that whole fight, the infighting, is it's not healthy. It's like politics. The UFO community is very much like politics. Very polarized, very what would you say? Tribalist. They back up personalities and not information, but then they say they're backing up information, and I don't know. Anyway, so point being, okay, so here's the thing this is what really pissed me off, is exactly this. They're saying we'll investigate, but we're only going to investigate in particular areas that we control. No fly zones, right? Basically, that's what they're saying. So who cares? Like those areas are strictly off limits anyway. I mean, you can't put like a commercial or just a consumer drone up in there, or they'll probably shoot it down with like an EMP rifle or something, right? Something like that. I don't know. Like, and this is what I mean. That's the whole point of this, and that's why I think it's important to talk about now, because they're trying to put one by us. What is it, though? What is it? So we got some thoughts from Jeremy Corbell. Let's play a clip here or two from Corbell. He was on last night, I believe this was. He was on TMZ of all things, right? Good old TMZ, and he was talking to whoever what's that guy, the lawyer guy, TMZ. I don't even know his name. I kind of don't care. No offense, fine, whatever. But listen to what Corbell said regarding this new thing that the Pentagon announced. Listen to this.
So, Jeremy, welcome back to TMZ Live.
Hey, thanks for having me again, Harvey.
So what do you think about this?
Really, what this announcement is a weaponized attempt to undercut the congressional support for the UFO or UAP legislation and the amendment that was just put forward from the National Defense Authorization Act. So this is a power grab by the Pentagon, and it was a sneak attack. There's been this cone of silence for over 80 years, and this Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence, which is where this new program was just named from, is the same organization that tried to kill the UAP efforts for all these years. They've constantly lied about it to the American public, and they have, persecuted witnesses. They encourage classification for this stuff that is over the top. And honestly, they're only looking at incursions in special use areas. This is not what we have been fighting for.
This appears to be a reaction to the DNI report. And why take it away from that? Because the previous agency was a naval agency, right? So now it seems like they're broadening this.
Okay, and now the thing is, many of you know this about me. I'm not, in particular, a big Jeremy Corbell fan. I think a lot of the stuff he pushes out, in my opinion, is, let's say, ambiguous regarding UFOs, right? He seems to think there's some amazing things happening when the footage doesn't suggest, right? That sort of thing. Like I said, not everything, but I'm not a really huge fan. But I don't have to be, because I think he's spot on here. I think he's on to them. When I read this myself, I was like, wait, what? This doesn't make any sense, does it? And, you got to think about it. You got to think, am I fooling myself? Think about the larger scope of things. Think about what's actually happening out there. And there's this bill that's being pushed through and now has bipartisan support, by the way, through Congress by Kirsten Gillibrand, right? Like I stated earlier. And, well, what they're trying to do is require the Department of Defense to report information to the Congress and make some of that information public, right? Once you get Congress involved, then the DOD has to dance, all right? Because, well, the DOD doesn't run this joint. I'm sorry, they do not. And so, well, that's the whole separation of powers. That's what a whole republic is about. And so I think he's right. I think Corbell's spot on here, is that the Pentagon decided to roll out their own UFO program to tell us we're going to get transparency, and instead they're going to just give us transparency in name only. In name only. Weird, right? Weird. Why are they fighting so hard, tooth and nail, to not give us information on UFOs? What's going on with this? And again, like I said, I don't even know what they are. But I think it is the largest question we have facing us today. Government transparency and UFOs. Why not? Like I said, if it's actual extraterrestrials, we have a problem, don't we? Houston, we have a problem. And the rest of the world, by the way. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on this? Like, I think Corbell's spot on. I'll play that clip another time or two as we go tonight, just to hear. But there's more. He had more to say, of course. And it was Harvey. That's the guy's name. I couldn't remember it. The TMZ guy. But the thing is, right? Where are we at now? If they do this and they put this information out and tell us we're going to get transparency, and we don't, which we're not going to, by the way, clearly and obviously, if they're going to limit the scope of the investigations to super top secret areas as it is, no fly zones anyway, non-commercial flight zones, flight areas, right? They gave them a name. Come on. It's a slap in the face, but it's a way to exactly to sort of disarm this bill. And so now, if the support to push this bill through this, and by the way, actually, what's happening in Congress to me is atrocious. Every bit of it. Those guys are literally. We talked about this a little while, from time to time, but their approval rating is like 11%. All right. And you know what? It's probably like the 11% that don't pay taxes. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? You know who those people are. And I'm not saying that to like start some sort of class war. I'm against all that. I think it's a bunch of BS as well. But, right, basically, the people that are on the take are the ones that approve of the work Congress is doing. And everybody else is like, hey, what about the rest of us? So just to set it straight, I want to make sure I'm not all on board to just because it's going to go through a congressional hearing and get a vote that means anything might even happen here. They might shoot this bill down. But what this bill is doing is it's trying to hold the DOD accountable for information that should be public, which doesn't seem ridiculous, does it? That doesn't seem too far out there. To me, that seems, well, isn't that what they should have been doing all along? That's what they should have been doing. And now, right, this comes out and the DOD tries to head it off at the pass and say, no, guys, look, no need to do that. We've already done it. When Corbell's spot on. Jeremy Corbell says they're trying to head it off at the pass. They're trying to give us fake disclosure. Less transparency, not more. And you see, part of why we do this show and why I talk about the government in the way I do is because they're not going to tell us. They're not going to tell us. And so back to the original question tonight. What do you think it'll take for, in activism purposes, what do you think it'll take for people, what will people have to do to get the Pentagon and the government at large to give us real information about UFOs? Real information. Not this crappy report we got in the summer, the nothing burger. Not lying to us and saying, oh, well, weather balloons and swamp gas, right? Not another phony blue book type investigation they can cover up and say, well, most of these were explained away. That's not what I mean. I mean what's really going on out there. And look, I get it. I understand that those things, those UFOs may be ours, right? We've talked about the breakaway civilizations. We've talked about maybe actually government entities that are unaccountable to the executive branch and Congress themselves that may actually be flying these things around. They may have cracked the code, whatever it is, right? The anti-gravity propulsion code or whatever this is, right? And they're zipping around in these things. And it's, I don't know, Bill Gates and Elon Musk sitting in a flying saucer sipping tea while they zip around and, set off the world's radar systems. I don't know, right? Like maybe, right? I'm clearly being silly about it. But maybe, right? They've said, Bill Clinton has said this. Daniel Inouye, I believe, said this. A senator who's now passed away. Was he? I think it was Hawaii. They've all said that there's a system inside the government, has its own funding. It's unaccountable to anybody else, including the president and Congress, and they're able to do whatever the heck they want. So if that's the case, and there's this actual shadow government, what do you think the DOD can tell us anyway? Besides nothing to see here. Nothing to see here, right? Oh no, what are your theories on this? Why now? Why do you think they're trying to head this off? Why do you think we're getting transparency a day and a half before Thanksgiving? What's going on? Like I said, if this doesn't make you strap on some more tinfoil, I don't know what will. But what are your thoughts? As always, I understand, like I said, everybody's got the tryptophan bellies and they're hanging out and, all the rest of that. Like I said, I hope you guys are all safe and in a good space right now. And that's all fine. That's all fine. I'm a talk show host and I'll talk. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. If you want to be part of this conversation, give me a call at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037 and put you on the show. Easy as that. And what we're talking about tonight, of course, is this whole UFO fiasco. This whole Pentagon creates a new office to probe UFO reports literally a day and a half before Thanksgiving. So, if this doesn't make you more suspicious, I don't know what would. the proverbial UFO landing on the White House lawn and saying, "Take me to your leader." I don't know. This is pretty wild to me. This is pretty wild that this just popped out. Here we go. All right. So this from the New York Post, right? And this is what we were talking about regarding the actual UFO report from the summer, right? Just to, again, like I said, to make these shows all inclusive, we'll backtrack a little bit just so you can see exactly what transparency means from a government perspective. All right. And this is one. This is, New York Post, and this is from the summer. Yep. The classified brief. Secret UFO report, only 17 pages long. And if you remember, they released 9. We got 9 pages, and 3 were like glossaries, and 1 was like a title page. So it was like 5 pages, right? That's all we got. And then they told us Some of these we can classify. We got a new term, if you remember that, aerial clutter. Aerial clutter. Like there's just garbage flying around the atmosphere, I guess. Like the new landfill is the sky fill. Aerial clutter, right? Came out of this report in June. Was it June? End of June. Yeah, like June 29th, 30th, something like that. So I don't know. What's going on with this? This is the part that drives me insane. Because what level of activism do you think it will take to crack open the secrets of UFOs housed inside, Area 51, the Pentagon, S4, right? Wherever, pick your secret base, right? Pick your secret base. Wright-Patterson, wherever they know about UFOs, right? How much pressure do you think it will take to get the government to actually tell us? And I'm of the mind, and I hate to be negative, okay? One of my calling cards is I'm typically, usually, mostly, and I try to be a positive guy. Meaning that even in the face of dire circumstances, I think we can find a way out of this, all right? That's just, I try to be that person, all right? But in this instance, personally, I don't think there's any sort of pressure short of turning the whole world upside down and turning it and burning it, right? Literally setting the world on fire, or not literally, let's say proverbially setting the world on fire, that there's no way they're going to give us information about UFOs. I don't think it'll happen. Because, of course, we're talking about national security, aren't we? And if we're flying, if people, human beings, are out there flying these UFOs around, and I'm not saying that's the case, I'm saying it's a possibility. Remember, don't forget, this is not the answer show, this is the question show. And so, if that's the case, no chance in hell they're going to tell us. Zero. Right? Like I said, this is the type of stuff that if this is really happening and the government knows about this stuff, this is burn bag type stuff, meaning they get information on a piece of paper, the people who need to know read it, and then they burn the information. You're not going to find this stuff on like a government server because that stuff gets hacked every single day. Look up solar winds if you don't know what I'm talking about, right? This is the type of stuff that's so secretive that people inside the government, in Congress, and even presidents, they say, don't know anything about this. So do you really think any level of activism will have them explain to us what this UFO stuff is all about? I'd like to know. What are your thoughts? I don't think so. I think they will go tooth and nail, and this is the last thing they will ever tell us. That's what I think. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, and I'll be wrong again. All right? This isn't an ego fest contest where we're like flinging poo at each other on the internet. That's not what this is about. This is about throwing ideas out and having a conversation. And what are your thoughts on this? Here's our 17-page nothing burger, which was the classified version, was 17. They trimmed it down. The unclassified version was 9 pages, 8 pages, whatever. We got 5 total. Glossaries and title page aside. And there was nothing in it other than the new term aerial clutter. What's up? I see you, ZNN. What's up? I see you over there. All right, so this is the thing, right? Lots of questions regarding UFOs, government transparency, why now? And even if this UFO bill goes through Congress, the Kirsten Gillibrand thing, do you think anything will change? What will it take? And that's what's on my mind tonight. So we're discussing this. We're thinking about it, considering all the things as usual. Like I said, this is not the question show. Or I'm sorry, it is the question show. It's not the answer show. I don't have answers here. I wish I did. But if the government tells you they have answers, I think you should probably look twice or even thrice. Make sure you keep an eye on what they're trying to tell us, because they are very much trying to control narratives on a daily basis. So you tell me, what exactly does this mean, and where do we go from here? Looking for your thoughts. What level of UFO activism will it take to crack open the secrets of the most secret space in government? And what do we expect to find? People flying UFOs? Or aliens flying UFOs? Or somewhere in between? You tell me. Looking for your thoughts tonight. Just hanging out. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Talking about weird stuff. UFOs tonight because it's in the news, and I think they tried to slip a fast one by us. If you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Don't go anywhere. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. More UFOs, the government, and transparency when we return. Be right back. We are talking about the alien abduction phenomenon.
The aliens are looking through your eyes and they're accessing your optic nerve. I'm doing fantastic. And through that optic nerve, they're transferring to your brain. People are going random images as they traverse neurons in the brain.
All right, so maybe,
and they also feel them planting or receiving memories or ideas or images.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. This show's live. We do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific. And what do? Well, we talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. You know what they are? Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the governments, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. Like I said, we're doing this live, so we're streaming on Rockfin, DLive, YouTube, and Twitter, and we're broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. And of course, we're taking your phone calls. If you want to be part of the show tonight, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. That'll put you on the show, and well, it'll put you into the Discord, and then you could be on the show that way. It's a way to dodge the 702 area code if you don't like the international thing, because we have people listening all over the world. So there we go. Discord's free. It's a chat client. It's a voice client. We use it often to do the show with guests and also callers. So there you go. Troubledminds.org. Phone number is there, and also the Discord link is there. So please come join us. Say hi. Tonight we're talking about UFO transparency. We're talking about UFO activism and dumping day. By the way, which means, of course, with the governments of the world trying to control news cycles and, of course, change our opinion on all the things, we had this weird thing just happen about a day and a half before Thanksgiving. The Pentagon said that they've released, or they're actually, let's just read it here. This is what's happening. So the Pentagon is creating a new office to investigate unidentified flying objects amid concerns that after broad probes, it cannot explain mysterious sightings near highly sensitive military areas. The issue with this is that they are designating particular areas for their transparency effort, including this. The new office will focus on incidents in or near designated special use airspace. SUA, they call it, areas strictly controlled and blocked from general aviation due to security sensitivities. Weird, right? Isn't that so super weird that they're going to give us transparency in super highly locked down areas already? Super suspicious. So one, the timing of this is suspicious because they're trying to cut off the Congress bill for UFO transparency led by Kirsten Gillibrand. And second, the timing is suspicious because, well, why a day and a half before Thanksgiving? The ultimate dumping day where they can bury things in news cycles and then, of course, point back to this and say, no, look, we've been serious about transparency all along. Well, no. we're not as stupid as that. And sorry, the internet exists, and we can look things up, and we're onto you. So that's not what's going on here, and so be it. So we're talking about it, and what are your thoughts tonight? The question is, what do you think it will take from a UFO activist level to get information about UFOs from the government and the Pentagon? One more time, 702-957-1037. Let's go to Robert in Pennsylvania. Robert, thanks for being patient. Welcome to the show. How are you tonight, my friend? Happy Thanksgiving.
A little sleepy, too much turkey.
Right on.
Anyway, what is this? The fifth or sixth time that the Pentagon has opened up an office for investigating UFOs. They've been opening and closing these kind of offices since the 50s. Early 50s, all right? Whenever public pressure gets on them, they open up an office, and you're absolutely right. It's to diffuse Congress. It's to make Congress think they're doing something, and that way Congress can move on, and they can continue to hide the truth. But let's bring this UFO disclosure stuff down to earth, and what's happening right now on Earth, all right? We've heard there's been saber rattling, of a war with China. There's been saber rattling of going in, fighting a war with Russia over Ukraine, and all that is smoke and mirrors. There's no way that we're going to have a war with China because it would be the end of everybody. All right, and for one thing, most of our cheap goods come from China, so we would lose tons. All that's been put across the saber rattling as a distraction for what's been going on in the country. All right, but they're running out of steam with that. They have to back off of that, and they are starting to back off of that because it's people are just what. You're not going to do this. But the billionaires are dumping all their stocks. They've been, Musk, Bezos, Zuckerberg, the famous billionaires and the famous billionaire hedge fund people, they're dumping their stocks. All right? And I, for one, believe that a billionaire is smart enough to know when to keep it, when to hold them, and when to fold them. So they're sending a message, in my opinion, that, and I would say this is based on my, I follow this stuff, probably around the middle of December. That's when the stock market's going to lose about 50% of its value because the Federal Reserve is no longer willing to float the banks and the hedge funds like they've been doing since 2009. It has to come to an end. It's reached this point where even if they can throw all the money in the world at these financial institutions, and it won't do any good. The bubble's too big, all right, and it's going to burst, and it's probably going to burst about the middle of December. All right. Now, what that constitutes is, don't get me wrong, the rich will still be rich, all right, but people with 401ks are going to get hurt bad. Those 401ks are probably going to wind up not being worth a cup of coffee when that happens. All right, and so they're looking at what comes with that. What comes with that is dissent. Is people really, really pissed off? All right, and they want to, and the only way they're going to be able to manage that, because what this will cause is a depression that is worse than anything in the 30s when this happens. And it'll be global. It'll be global. And so the only way you can deal with that is to distract the people, from what's happening to them. All right? So you do this with this artificial war on UFOs, on aliens, whatever, that there's an alien invasion coming, and we all must unite. All right, unite the world to fight the aliens. It's all bull. They just need to have something extraordinary to pacify the masses when the masses wind up losing everything they have because of what's going to go down.
Ah, the Great Reset. You will own nothing and you will be happy. Interesting thought there. So I tend to think that, and it comes and goes, right? Because I'm not the answers guy. You know this. But I tend to think that the UFO conversation seems to be massaged for different purposes. And instead, right, they're dangling other things as the shiny object, right? The Rittenhouse trial, for instance, all this other political, cultural war stuff back and forth.
All that stuff is shiny objects to divert us from what's being done to us.
Exactly. And so
what's on the horizon.
Yeah, so what you're saying is just the UFO thing is just part of the rest of that. It's not anything different other than maybe a setup for something spectacular to get clicks, to get maybe a conversation like this, maybe, who knows, because something dire is on the way. Well, how else can you...
How did they pacify? How did the government pacify the people in the United States and abroad when the Depression hit in the 30s? They went to war. All right, that's always been the chosen path. To revive the economy is to go to war, but they can't go to war with China. No matter how much they talk about it, they can't go to war with China because it would be the end of everything. And they can't go to war with Russia because Russia has hypersonic planes that we can't intercept. All right, so there's not going to be there. So they have to create something else, a mirage, a virtual reality. You may see this. You may see them put in the atmosphere holographs of flying saucers, flying over Washington or whatever. And I'm sure they have the technology to do that. All right, but the concern is that if when people are driven out of their homes, they lose everything they got. That means, they should be very scared of what those people, what the people will do, and the only way to pacify the people is to get them to unite against the great alien menace. Just like we got to reunite against the Nazis and after the Nazis, Russians. It's all kabuki theater.
Yeah. So you're talking about Project Bluebeam. You're talking about staging an alien invasion to. So think of it in terms of this, right? We saw what happened with I don't want to say it, but let's say to leave the elephant in the room out of it. Let's say we saw what happened with crackdowns in particular areas over the last couple of years. I'll leave it at that. But imagine if you had an alien menace, what kind of crackdowns would happen? OMG. I think you may be right, Robert.
Yeah, but they wouldn't have to They wouldn't have to crack down on people because we Americans and most people around the world would unite, believing that the planet was under attack by an alien force. They would naturally attack. No matter, you could be living in the streets, a homeless person living in the streets, and you're going to rah, 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 rah. You're going to be super patriotic when it comes to something like that.
Get the aliens. Okay? Get them.
Right. It doesn't matter what's happened to you. That will pacify you, and people will join, be drafted into an artificial war. All right, that is nothing more than VR holographic theater. That's what I'm seeing here. But the most important thing is why. And the why is that's there's going to be revolution. And they need to tap that down because there's no way people are going to take this once we are thrown into a not a recession, a depression that is worse than the 30s, and that's what's going to happen. It's going to last for probably 3 or 4 years before anybody gets out of it. So they have to pacify people. They have to get them to rally around something, some great thing, in order to pacify them, just to get through those 3 or 4 years, or else people will just overthrow the governments.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, there's no question about it. All right, you can, as long as people have their bread and circuses, as long as people have sufficient income to keep a roof over their head, and you know what I mean. All right, able to form maybe not a splendor life, but at least a decent life. All right, you got a good situation going there. The governments do. They can do anything they want to, and people don't care. But people will care when their kids are living in the streets, and they have to and they have to steal bread, steal from groceries to feed their kids. Because look what's going on in California.
Yeah,
with the
I saw it.
The 30 people rushing into a doggone store and just taking stuff and putting it in the cars and driving off, and nobody does anything. Ask yourself, why do they allow that to happen? Why don't they? Well, there's that $900 you were talking about the other day, the $900 maximum. All right, they're deliberately letting people, for some reason, storm these stores and just loot them. All right, it's a training exercise. It's a training exercise to see, to see what would happen. If the whole economy collapses like I'm talking about, because that's what will happen.
In a full breakdown. It won't be Gucci bags.
I don't want to get too deep.
Yeah. So it won't be Gucci bags at Nordstrom's.
And I'm no financial genius, all right? But if I were to advise people who have 401ks and have the ability to cash them in, they should do that now, and they should probably, invest them in government bonds, maybe even savings bonds. At least the government, I'll say this, no matter what, the government always pays its bills. All right? And if the government is indebted to you, it will pay you. All right? But the banks don't give a damn. All right?
No, they don't.
What happens to you? They don't care. They'll just take the money and run. And you'll be left, people will be left destitute. It's coming. And remember I said this on your show, middle of December is when it all comes to it. If you watch the stock market like I do, you see it's almost like it's trying to catch its breath. All right? It goes down a little bit. All right? Well, actually, it goes down 4 or 5 times more than it goes up. And when it goes up a little bit. Just a little bit, all right? And they call that a good day. That you don't see that with the stock market 2 years ago. This is what you're seeing now, and it's like I said, like the stock market is on its last breath, trying to breathe, and it can't breathe no more.
Gotcha. Too much.
And
too
this
much
UFO
fraud.
thing, and this UFO thing, to repeat myself, is nothing more than a diversion. All right, they're going to convince a whole the globe, that this is happening with their what you said, that operation. What did you call that?
Project
Blue Beam.
Blue Beam. Yep.
They're gonna do that. And it's for no other reason than to pacify the populace. So that who would want to overthrow their government when the government is in the middle of fighting an alien force that threatens everybody? They'll rally around it and forget their troubles.
You got it. All right. I love the take. Fantastic stuff. Thanks for being patient as we took the break there. And great ideas as always. Thanks for the call. Happy Thanksgiving to you and the family. And we'll talk to you soon.
And to you, I hope yours was pleasant today.
I had a nap. That's good enough for me. Very, very nice.
You had a nap.
Very, very nice. I can't complain. Great stuff.
Talk
Thank you,
to you
Robert.
later.
Appreciate the call. Have a great night.
Bye.
Great ideas there. Robert has a book, by the way. Scroll down. Link is in the description. He's a writer. He writes sci-fi about consciousness and about time travel and all kinds of crazy stuff, including a book called The Robert Collection, Stories from a Fractured Mind. So check it out down below. Like I said, he doesn't call for me to plug his book. I do because he was kind enough to send me one, and it's fantastic. So I think everybody should give it a read. Let's go. Let's keep on talking. So what is this? Now, he brings up a great point here regarding not just the UFO thing, right? So the point I was making there in the call is that it's like this. I go back and forth on the idea of what the shiny object actually is. So sometimes I think that the shiny object they want us to pay attention to, besides Kim Kardashian got a new pair of shoes, stuff like that, the football games, the bread and circuses like Robert was describing, other things like the culture wars, right, and the rest of that stuff. But it makes me wonder if UFOs are part of that, like Robert was describing, or if all of that is to keep people disinterested in the UFO topic because there's maybe something here. And so I don't know. Like I said, I don't have those answers. I wish I did, because if I did, well, then, like I said, it'd be a short show. We'd start it up, we'd do the, read the answers, and then the show would be over. Have a great night. It's not as easy as that. And like I always say, be very careful about people bearing answers. Easy answers are poison, in my opinion, right? Because answers should not be easy. Answers are hard fought, and that's not what this show's about. It's about the fight. It's about the peaceful fight, by the way, for those haters out there. They're going to be like, I know it! He's a violent extremist, a UFO terrorist. No, I'm not. Not at all. But so that's the question tonight. Fantastic call from Robert. Thank you so much for kicking this off, the conversation. What do you think, right? Is there some financial collapse coming? Like, he's right in the sense that a lot of the billionaires have kind of shored up their territories, their bunkers, their literal, like, actual billionaire bunkers in places like New Zealand and Hawaii. We've talked about this. I think Bill Gates is in New Zealand. Zuckerberg and Bezos are buying up the Hawaiian Islands. Well, why do you think that is? Right? To insulate themselves, right? From the mass panic and chaos that would happen on, like, the mainland, right? Something like that. So it makes a lot of sense what he's saying. Again, Elon Musk selling his stocks recently. So why? What does he need the liquidity for, right? Is he building bunkers too? Is he preparing for something? I don't know. What's coming from this? And again, what is with this? All of this UFO talk. Why are they trying to sneak this out so maybe they can cite it later on? You know how CNN reports something or Fox News reports something, then you can say they didn't report it, they're liars, and then they could go, oh look, we did in this like 12-second segment just before a commercial one time, we did report it, see? Well, but then they're doing the propaganda hard and heavy all the other times. So I don't know. Is it just managing the conversation? What's going on here? I have no idea, right? I really have no idea. But the Pentagon has finally launched a new UFO task force, they say. Right? And notice just from the headlines, and this is the craziest part about this, most of the actual information you can find if you search this right now, it's all positive. It's all positive. Right? Like I'm like, whoa, this is not positive at all. This is negative. They are trying to head off a like actual transparency with phony transparency. All right. Like I said, Jeremy Corbell was spot on about this. And so what do you think they're up to? What do you think is going on with the UFOs and the government? What is actually happening here? Love to hear your thoughts. Like I said, I don't know the answers. I wish I knew the answers, but I do not. And if you want to be part of the program tonight, part of the show, part of the conversation, part of what we're doing, well, give us a call. We're taking your phone calls as we talk about this UFO office that was launched 2 days or a day and a half before Thanksgiving of all times. Can you believe that? A day and a half before Thanksgiving. Oh, by the way, UFO office launched just before Thanksgiving. That's not the way the government does things. What's going on? What are your thoughts on this? This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. More UFOs, the government, and you when we return. Don't go anywhere. Be right back. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, D-Live, YouTube, and Twitter, and we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. We're taking your phone calls tonight as we discuss a UFO office Enacted by the Pentagon a day and a half before Thanksgiving, the ultimate dumping day, trying to hide things in news cycles, manage perception, and of course, well, confuse us. What's actually going on here? What are your thoughts? Love to hear your take. You can reach us at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Put you on the show. Simple as that. All right, so there's more to this, right? So we heard that clip from Jeremy Corbell talking about how this whole new, again, a day and a half before Thanksgiving. Think about that, right? The government, literally, they will drag their feet about everything, right? Everything. They'll drag their feet with literally anything they can. By the way, speaking of dragging their feet, that whole vaccine stuff, right? They've now classified for 55 years, right? Did you hear this? Did you hear this? This is my point, right? They create their own time frames. All right, the government is basically able to just say unilaterally, oh, by the way, we're not going to give you this information because we think it would be bad for the public, right? Well, so explain to me why suddenly the Pentagon is rushing a day and a half before Thanksgiving to do this, which is the Pentagon has finally launched a new UFO task force. And this article is by Interesting Engineering, and they say to streamline unexplained reports. Huh. Weird, right? Weird. What is this about? Now, okay. Now, like I said, imagine, like Robert described when he called, fantastic call, Robert, thank you. They've been kicking the can down the road on UFOs since the 50s. Literally, since the 50s. Like, are you kidding me? So suddenly they're like, oh, quick, get this out. Do you think this is true transparency? Do you think this is true disclosure? Come on now. We're smarter than that, aren't we? But this is the thing, right? I could be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Love to hear your take. Why is this? Why now? People have been interested in UFOs for a very, very long time. An entire lifetime, even. A human lifetime. The span of a human lifetime. And it's been one of the most contentious, hotly debated, widely debunked, as I do the air quotes, debunked. UFOs don't exist, right? Just ask the right people and they'll tell you so. But also one of those things that is central to the national security state. So explain to me, what exactly is going on with this? Love to hear your thoughts. We got some more stuff from Jeremy Corbell as he's explaining why he thinks this is a broken thing and why they're trying to head off exactly what's happening. Let's play that clip on Corbell again, and then I got a couple more for him to say. But this is him talking to, what's the guy's name? The dude from TMZ. I'll remember it in a sec when he says it. But so this is Jeremy Corbell. Again, like I said, I'm not a huge fan of his, but he's out there trying to do transparency stuff. UFO transparency, fine. Go get him. But this is what he's talking about. And I'm not saying I disagree with him all the time, but for once I am in lockstep with Jeremy Corbell here. Let's hear what he had to say regarding the Pentagon and their new UFO task force.
So, Jeremy, welcome back to TMZ Live.
Hey, thanks for having me again, Harvey.
So what do you think about this?
Really, what this announcement is a weaponized attempt to undercut the congressional support for the UFO or UAP legislation and the amendment that was just put forward from the National Defense Authorization Act. So this is a power grab by the Pentagon, and it was a sneak attack. There's been this cone of silence for over 80 years, and this Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence, which is where this new program was just named from, is the same organization that tried to kill the UAP efforts for all these years. They've constantly lied about it to the American public, and they have, persecuted witnesses. They encourage classification for this stuff that is over the top. And honestly, they're only looking at incursions in special use areas. This is not what we have been fighting for.
This appears to be a reaction to the DNI report. And why take it away from that? Because the previous agency was a naval agency, right? So now it seems like they're broadening this.
All right, so this is exactly what's happening right now. And Corbell's spot on. This is, again, like I said, go search it, right? This is, again, is from November 24th. Just a couple days ago, the Pentagon creates new office to probe UFO reports, right? But go search it, and it seems to be widely positive, okay? Except if you're within the UFO community and you've been paying attention to this stuff, this is not positive at all. Because the Pentagon is trying to head off, exactly like he said, the Congress from holding the Department of Defense accountable, all right? At least through information. And so they're saying you can no longer keep this information away from not just Congress, but from the American people in sections that they should be able to hear. Declassified stuff, right? So, of course, clearly classified things are classified things. But, right, I think when you start peeling away information in classified settings, how in the world can you give somebody some of the UFO information and not all of it, right? I mean, if it's real information, not kind of just making stuff up or, kicking the can down the road some more, which is exactly what this seems to be. But what's going on? Why now? Again, like you said, 80 years they've been dragging their feet on this, but then suddenly, real quick, day and a half before Thanksgiving, right? They kick this out like, oh yeah, by the way, here we go, real fast, Like literally, the way the government works is the week of Thanksgiving, they're like, oh, it's a short week, so we'll just take the rest of the week off anyway, right? That's the way they do it. Congress convenes like a week prior, right? They're not rushing to get any work done. They're not. They don't. And there's a term called the speed of government, right? The speed of government. And well, how come a day and a half before Thanksgiving, the DOD says, oh, by the way, we're going to do this now? It seems rushed. It seems hurried. It seems like they're out of time. And doesn't that seem strange to you? It certainly seems strange to me. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, please smash the like buttons out there if you're out there watching us on the streams. Appreciate that very much. All right, so I don't know. Like, there's more of this. We can talk about this. Looking to hear your thoughts. Why do you think now? The ultimate dumping day, Thanksgiving week. We know the folks in the government don't like to work if they don't have to. And I'm not saying that clearly. I hate maligning an entire anything, all right? There are good people that work in the government, all right? There's regular people like you and I that want the best for this country and for this world that work in the government. But unfortunately, I don't think those are the people that are in charge, all right? And that's what I'm talking about. So please don't get me wrong. I'm not anti-government in the sense that anybody that works for the government is horrible and all the rest of this. That's not true at all. All right. It's just like saying all police are horrible or all this type of person or all that type of person. It's like saying all the people are horrible just because they do something that I disapprove of, right? They work a job I disapprove of. That's ridiculous. It's not what I'm saying. But I am saying the sociopaths that run this joint aren't those people. Those people are the ones at the top. All right. You know who they are? I don't even have to mention names. I'm sure you have some names bouncing around your head as we speak about this. But you tell me, I don't know. Why now? Why now? Jeremy Corbell and I agree for once that, yeah, this seems to be a way to actually usher in less transparency, not more. Think about it. A day and a half before Thanksgiving, they're like, oh, by the way, we finally got around after 80 years to doing up this UFO transparency thing. Right? Come on now. Come on now. So anyway, all right. So it goes back to the question I started with tonight. Do you think there's any level of pressure the people could put peacefully on the government to actually have them give us information? Real information. Real, not propaganda, not redacted stuff. Real UFO information and data. Is there any kind of pressure whatsoever, non-violent pressure, that could be put on? And I'm not advocating violence. Please don't get me wrong. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that, in my opinion, it will probably be tooth and nail, and they will not give this information up, because if these UFOs belong to us in any capacity, all your UFOs belong to us, as it were, if anybody gets the joke. If they belong to us, then tipping our hand changes everything. What if these are Chinese? What if these are Russians? What if they are extraterrestrials? What if they're literally unexplainable phenomena? See, that's why you don't say phenomenons. It's a phenomena. Anyway, point being, do you think there's any pressure that people could actually put on the government to get the actual information, the real truth from the government? I want to know. There's people that call themselves UFO activists. I'm not really into that because I don't think it'll help. I think it's more division because people are fighting. There's infighting in the UFO community about how to do this. Still, I don't know. Anyway, those are my thoughts. We got more from Jeremy Corbell. I'll play a couple more clips as we finish this up. But I'd rather hear from you. As always, right? Why a day and a half before Thanksgiving? Why are they limiting what they're going to search for into such a tiny space, which are already highly secure airspaces? Why? Why? None of this makes sense. But if you just browse the headlines, you're like, oh, cool, this UFO thing it's coming, right? It's coming along. They're working on this, right? It's not what's happening. Per usual, though, right? If you dig beyond the headlines with just about anything, you'll find there's a whole lot of BS because they're trying to sell you something. Snake oil, right? That's what they're trying to sell you. Sell you and me and all of us. So anyway, looking to hear your thoughts. What are your thoughts on this? Why now, suddenly after 80 years, we got to squeak this in super fast before Thanksgiving? They announced this, no joke, Tuesday night at like 8 p.m. How does that make any sense? Like the Wookiee defense. Have you ever seen that? That does not make sense. Chewbacca is a Wookiee, right? That does not make sense. It does not fit. You must acquit. A little South Park for you. Hilarious. But why doesn't this make sense? Well, because that's not how you do things right. A day and a half before Thanksgiving, when, again, we have a government that massages news cycles, that tries to keep information from us. Why rush it out? Why not wait for a nice Monday in the beginning of the week in December and have a whole press conference and talk about it and bring the propagandist spokespeople up there to say, well, this is why we're going to do these things, because we think these dangerous lights in the sky may or may not be a problem. And we think, just in case they are, the American people deserve to know. The people of the world deserve to know. Because if there's ETs out there driving around these UFOs, it changes everything. Do we expect a press conference for this? I don't. You see? Because they're not serious. Not that a press conference legitimizes things, but at least you get somebody up there trying to lie, right? Trying to lie. I don't know. There's the phone line dying. So if you want to be part of the show, give us a call, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show. This is, let's hear a little more from Jeremy Corbell as we keep on trucking talking about this stuff and his thought on exactly this. This is from Harvey, I got the name right, and TMZ. Jeremy Corbell was on there last night, and they were talking about this UFO stuff. So here we go.
So no, what's happening is, that the UAPTF, the UAP, Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force, that was put into place because of public interest, because of public pressure. And so what's happened now is there's been all these amendments put forward by senators saying, hey, we want to know the truth about UFOs. We want updates every 6 months. We want it to be unclassified. We want to look at the negative health things that have happened to people who've been close to UAPs. We want to know about if we have crash retrievals. Are we reverse engineering these? All of this was in those amendments. All of a sudden, the Pentagon swoops in an agency that has always lied to the American public about this and says, oh, nothing to see here, don't worry, we've got this under control now. I am highly suspicious that we're going to get any kind of transparency. In my perspective, it's high noon. It's time for the truth about UFOs to be officially acknowledged. And we're not going down without a fight. UFO Twitter unite.
Let me try a theory on you.
Okay, there you go. I don't like his provocative use of language, all right? I don't like to use the fighting terms, right? He does, I don't. I think it's I think people get the wrong idea. I think they can take it out of context. I think they can make you look like a fool because you don't know how to choose your words wisely, all right? So I'm not calling him a fool. I'm saying that there are better ways to say things. And yeah, so that's why I don't like to be provocative in that way, right? Because you can, if you leave details out and you say, it's time to fight, then of course, well, you get people that are sort of at their last, right? Like that are struggling with many things. Again, struggling with the human condition, like we talk about a lot on this show. Well, and they hear the fighting words and they think it's time to actually fight. And that's not what we mean. That's not what he means. And I'm not a Jeremy Corbell apologist. Many of you know this about me, but it is one of those things where it's sort of well, it makes me suspicious, all of this. And he's spot on, is that this is not transparency. This is not well what we expect. And like I said, I've said this before too, and I'll say this again. Like, if they want me to believe they're serious about any sort, any at all, 1%, any bit serious about UFO transparency through the government, through the DOD, through Congress, through anything, then they would simply release data, right? They have it. They have the data. So how hard is it to get a report put up and release some data? It's not. It's already like perfectly collated and ready to go. All right. They just have to peel a little bit of it out and hand it to us, hand it off. Right. And probably have a press conference to explain. Right. But that's not what's happening here. All smoke and mirrors all the time. Right. And again, with this whole thing, the last couple of years of all this stuff happening, why in the world do you think people don't trust the government? Because the story changes every day, every other day. The damn story changes. It's the same thing with UFOs. The damn story changes. And they always tell us, just like Robert said when he called in previously, they always tell us, it's coming. We're going to give you that information. So where is it? Literally, it's one thing like to say, we have it and we're going to give it to you. All right? It's another thing entirely to actually say, as we get it, we understand, we really mean to give you the information. Here's some information as part of a goodwill effort to actually start making this happen, and then continue to bring that information out. All right? So, I don't know. Is this Gillibrand amendment that's going through Congress for UFO transparency a good thing? Do you think Congress and the power of the people can actually pressure the Department of Defense into disclosing information about UFOs to us? Do you think this can happen? I don't know. Like I said, I hate to be so negative about the government, but crying out loud, you know, government, give us a reason to not be negative. Give us a reason. And I don't think we have it. So there you go. All right. So looking to hear your thoughts on this. 702-957-1037. Let's see. Unmuted. Good to go. Let's go to our good buddy, Jay Winch in Texas. Let's try it. Jay Winch, welcome to the show. How are you, my friend? Hello, hello.
I'm taking you off speaker right now. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Doing good, my man. Happy Thanksgiving to you. What are your thoughts on this UFO stuff?
It's a little late, but happy Thanksgiving. Hope you got to eat a good meal.
Good enough, let's say.
Okay, well, good enough. So my thoughts on everything, UFOs and everything. You said it before, there's a very sick version of people that have control, and they're releasing it because certain things are coming to light, and the more technology catches up. 10 years ago, you actually had to do math with a calculator. Now you could just ask Alexa. You can ask Google. What's whatever math problem times whatever math problem, and it'll answer it. You want to do your history question? Technology will do it. And I think it was Albert Einstein said, the biggest fear of humanity is that humanity relies on technology.
Can you get? Are you on speakerphone or something? Can you get just a little closer? You keep kind of getting quiet there.
Yeah. I'm a little bit closer now. Does it sound better now?
Much better, thank you. But yeah, so
okay, I pulled away because I'm smoking at the same time. Smoking a cigarette, trying to relax. I've been up eating turkey and everything else, so I'm a little bit tired. So
gotcha. No sweat.
But the whole UFO thing, and they're hiding everything. Yeah, I mean, I posted comments earlier. Like right now, we can't build the pyramids in 20 years. The amount of technology involved in building the pyramids, like. Yeah, maybe that was ancient humans. Maybe it was slave labor. I mean, you tack it up however you want. But they shut down a very popular person, and then they rebranded it with Tesla. Nikola Tesla gave us free energy. And those sick, evil people in power shut them down. Right now, we should be the Jetsons.
Yeah. Where's my flying car? Right.
Yeah, I mean, if you back it up, though, I mean, Tesla has a car that can do 0 to 60 in like 1.3 seconds.
Right. Better than race cars.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nikola Tesla built the flywheel that could do that for a jet plane. And it could have been 1 to like 5,000 miles per hour in like 2 seconds. But he didn't have the modern technology based off of what he knew. And they shut him down for that. But I mean, he invented lasers. He invented everything that's modern technology was built in the early 1900s. We got the first smartphone 15 years ago. What did the people that are leaking UFOs showing us right now? Shit that's 50 to 70 years old.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Hey, Jay Winch, we got to get off the radio here. You want to hang on? It'll be a couple minutes to get back to you, or it's up to you.
Yeah, I'll hang out. I'm sorry for cursing. I thought we were past the no cursing. I apologize for that. But I'll hang out. Like I said, I'm tired. I'm drinking water.
All right, stay right there.
And I'll hang out.
Okay, I'm going to put you on hold. I'll be right back to get you. I'm pretty sure you said shoot, so you're in the clear. All right, be right back. Be right back. Gonna get you in a sec, Jay Winch. All right, so as we finish this, lots of questions here, right? Lots of questions, and I don't know the answers. Like if I had the answers, like I said, it'd be a super short show. But when it comes down to what's happening with the government and transparency and UFOs, is it the carrot on the stick? Is it the shiny object? Is it these things that we're discussing because of some other things that are happening in the world they don't want us to talk about or don't want us to know? Or is it the opposite? Is it that the thing that's happening is this UFO bit that everything else is the shiny carrot, shiny object or carrot on a stick to keep us away from? I don't know. Like I said, I do not have these answers. And of course, well, if I did, yeah, there you go. But we're going to keep thinking about this, keep talking about this, because as we finish up tonight, this is an important thing. Whether it's even if it's purely propaganda, it's still an important thing because it means they're trying to get something by us, and I don't like that. I don't like being lied to, and I would assume you guys don't either. So as we finish this tonight, if you're listening to us on the Fringe FM, stay tuned for Joe Roop Lighting the Void. If you're listening to us on any other platform, including the podcast feed, stay tuned for a third hour of Troubled Minds. As we finish up, we got Jay Winch on the line here. We'll get back to him in just a sec. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our Troubled Minds to yours, have a great night. right, we are off the fringe, and here's what we're going to do. We're per usual, we're going to take a quick 2-minute break. Hang tight, Jay Winch. We're going to get right. Actually, no. Let's get back to Jay Winch right now, and then we'll finish this call. Then we'll take a break after that. Don't want to make him wait any longer. So we are off the fringe, and we are officially in the third hour. So that shoot that you said, Mr. Jay Winch, can now become the actual word, if you prefer. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being part of this. Welcome back to the show.
Are you ready for the truth bomb?
Go for it, sir.
I can say it like this, but America is supposed to be a republic based off of the people for the people. And we all agree that's what it's supposed to be, yeah? And then we became a capitalist government. And then we became a corporate government. You know, the biggest corporation in the world. I hate to say it, but there's only 2 corporations that draw over $1 trillion a year. And one of them is preaching for a one world government, one world religion, and it is one of the 3 city nations. One's in Europe, one is in Italy, and one is in America. So, unfortunately, we are waking up to what's really going on, but they have trained generations of family what the fuck they're doing to this world. And if we can't reach out and wake everybody up to what's really going on, I fear for the next 10 years. They've warned about the moon wobble 2030. You read about that, right? The moon wobble?
I haven't, no.
Asteroid?
I haven't, no.
Oh, you haven't read about the moon wobble 2030?
I don't think so.
The same elliptical path as Planet X. Moon wobble 2030. They warned about it.
Okay, all right.
They leaked the information because it's coming out. I mean, I may be wrong. I may be right. I really hope I'm wrong, but it's if you follow the money and you follow it back, I mean, it all traces back. You follow the money, it all goes backwards, and it all goes to people running slavery and everything. From the dawn of our modern knowledge after the first flood, or our knowledge of the flood. All the money, all the power, trace it back. It all goes the same freaking place.
All consolidated to the same spot.
And it's evil people. Yeah, it's evil people running this world. And that's the reason they have a chokehold. I mean, look at this whole vaccine shit that's going on right now. And what they're doing in Australia. What they don't show you, if you use DuckDuckGo, Australia riots, they're burning down their place. If you look DuckDuckGo, people getting vaxxed with football players. I'm talking overseas football players, which is soccer. 24, 25-year-old males, perfectly physical health. I mean, you ever play soccer?
Yep.
If not, like, that's one of the hardest games ever.
Yeah.
25-year-old males dropping dead within 3 months of taking this.
Okay, do me a favor, please be very careful about what you say here, because again, they're listening. All right, just be careful. Be careful about the things you say, the claims you make. We're not doctors here. Always consult your doctor and all the rest of that stuff. Don't take our advice on any of these things. Just you got to please be careful.
Yes,
all right?
and I agree. Consult your doctor.
Please be careful about what you say.
Do your research.
Don't want to get taken down.
I'm from the medical field myself. I'm from the medical field myself.
Okay.
Vaccines do work.
Okay. All right.
But at the same time, there are side effects.
Okay. So there are other ways we can talk about this. Okay. So let's make an analogy.
I apologize.
That's okay. I just don't want to go too far down that road and end up literally just losing the YouTube channel because we're talking about this stuff. So I appreciate that.
Oh, you're still on YouTube? My bad.
Yeah. No, it's fine. It's fine. It's all good. It's all good. Yeah, right. It's like, wow, you're still on YouTube? How the hell did that happen? Yeah, well, it's because I don't talk about that stuff. I don't do it. So, all right. So anyway, back to the UFO stuff. So what exactly is happening here with this UFO stuff? Again, why a day and a half before Thanksgiving? Why are they trying to tell us it's transparent when it's not? What the hell's really going on here?
Well, they have to release information. Because the more the internet wakes up and the more people across the world have the internet, a person in South Africa, Australia, South America, Indonesia, anywhere, can see a UFO and pull their phone out and record it and show it to the entire world in a matter of like half a second. And they can't shut down the internet that fast. They have to slowly release it. And the reason for it, I think it's more of you have so many people that do not believe in it, but they're there. They've been there. Like I said, you cannot build the pyramids today with modern technology in 20 years. You can't do it. Without technology, it's more advanced than us. And that's the reason they're releasing it. They're like, oh yeah, they're here. Oh yeah, you're going to see them again. And oh yeah, let me slowly play it to you because I forget what president said it, but there's a reason they didn't want to release it back in Project Bluebeam and all those other things because of religion, this, that, and the other, because it would crash the entire economy of the world and everything else and all the beliefs. So they're slowly bringing it out to say, yeah, they're here. Yeah, they're everywhere. And yeah, it's time to wake up and quit fighting each other. You're not white, you're not black, you're not Italian, you're not Spanish, you're not American, you're not European. You're human. You're the human race. Wake up and become one and get above your planet. Get above this matrix, this little hole we're living in and fighting over little things.
Yeah, well, as always, right? We have more in common than we have dividing us. But when the media and the government and all these folks are leaning on it super hard, well, that's the way it goes. People don't understand. Like again, it's not even like a really. I mean, it's a profound thing, but it's not hard. It's not a hard situation where. You like, just like you said, like, hey, like get with it, get with the program. There's a reason why Congress has like an 11 or 9% approval rating, and it's going down every damn year, right? There's a reason for this.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
How far have we advanced in the last 30 years? We went from using a pager and a payphone to talk to somebody, to a digital age. Now imagine, instead of fighting each other, because I'm from country A, B, or C, or D, E, and F, if we all became one mind and focused on nothing but becoming a greater human race, how far could we advance in the last 20 years?
Yeah.
Instead of fighting each other.
Leaps and bounds. It's not even close. It's not even close. And that's part of what's going on here. That's why I talk about this stuff, because well, clearly, if UFOs are a thing, it's important. But if they're not a thing, we need to know, right? Like, that's the thing. That's all of this.
Well, they are a thing.
Okay. So
I'll put more on that.
Okay. So they are a thing, but are they a dangerous thing? Are they not? Right? There's a threat narrative. There's like the benevolent narrative where they're here to look after us. Again, so if they're a thing, there's a whole bunch of other questions that come along with that. It's a loaded topic. You can't just say, well, they're a thing, right? And I'm not expecting you to have all the answers. I'm just saying that it's not as simple as that.
Now, I don't have those answers because I've never actually got to see that side of it, but I promise you that. I'm sorry, turkey's coming back up. But yeah, they're real. Sorry, I had to burp. I'm sorry it's live, but yeah, they're real. I mean, the Native Americans, the Indians, every culture in this world, the Mayans, Aztecs, Hindus, everybody said they were flying saucers pre-flood. Like, they're real. We're kind of like, think of us humans being, I think what's the AI robot? Sophia,
yep.
I should say, yeah, humans should be put in a zoo until they learn to become a working force for themselves. smartest figure.
I'm with you. You're cutting out again. You're cutting out again. Get close. Get close.
Oh, Sophia said all humans should be in a zoo. The smartest AI robot today said humans should be in a zoo. Well, what if we are actually in a zoo? And all those with the UFOs and the technology of free energy and everything are looking for us to quit fighting and become one, a human race.
And there you go.
No, that's just my thoughts.
Perfect. Good stuff.
That's my thoughts.
Good stuff as always, Jay Winch. You were the best, my friend. Happy Thanksgiving to you and the family. Thanks for spending part of it with us. I appreciate it very much. And thanks for giving us your take.
All right, brother. Talk to you later.
Have a great night. There you go. That's Jay Winch in Texas. Good stuff as always. And we're still talking about this. We're going to take a quick break now because we skipped it to get him back on the phone. He was waiting there. But the question is this tonight. So it remains back to the very beginning as when we started the show. How much pressure do you think it would take to have the government actually give us disclosure? How much pressure? Do you think there's enough willpower in the population? Right? So meaning this, what if everybody tomorrow said, we're not going to work, we're not paying taxes, we're not doing anything until you give us the UFO information? What do you think the government would do? What do you think they would do? And of course, we're being I'm being facetious there. I'm being tongue-in-cheek. Clearly, that would never happen. But what if? Just a thought experiment. What if that did happen? Do you think that they would actually say, okay, sorry, everybody go back to what you were doing. Here's the UFO information. What do you think would happen? Personally, I think that we'll never get it. I think that they would literally make up a whole bunch of garbage and give it to us and say, okay, here you go. This is what's really going on. Then actually tell us the real stuff. Because it's the advantage, right? If there's UFOs zipping around and if they're flown by people or aliens or whatever it is, it changes everything. It changes their advantage they have over not just the populations of the world, but other countries. Power. You see? I don't think there's enough pressure. I think it would literally be the very last thing on earth they ever disclose. My opinion. That's what I think about this. So I don't know. But again, I can be wrong. Just because I have a microphone and I'm on the internet doesn't mean I'm any more or less right than anybody else. I'm just another person. Okay? But the thing is this. How much pressure would it take? Do you think the U.S. government would ever give up the real, not some phony BS, the real details on UFOs? And if so, well, why aren't we doing that? Because it does change everything, doesn't it? So looking to hear your thoughts. If you want to be part of the show tonight, we're still doing this going into the third hour. There's, lots to say here, lots to think about, lots to talk about. A couple of great calls tonight. Thank you from Robert. Thank you, Jay Winch. And looking to hear from you. What do you think this is? This whole bit. Do you think it's a day and a half before Thanksgiving? Oh, here's your transparency? Ha! We'll get more into that. It's got a nice acronym, the name of this new UFO office, which is ridiculous, by the way. But, okay, so looking to hear your thoughts. We're going to take a quick break, 2-minute break. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. What are your thoughts on this whole UFO thing, this new office that just came out literally a day and a half before Thanksgiving, and why is it happening now? Why now? And do we expect to get anything from this? It seems like it's one of those situations where it is the shiny object, maybe. Because like I said, look it up, and 95% plus of the information about this is positive, right? It's positive. You have to dig really hard to find negative information about this particular bill. So there you go. If you want to be part of the conversation, you know what to do. troubledminds.org, click the Discord link or give us a call. But there's something here. There's something with this, and it's suspicious. And it makes me strap on the tinfoil. And so that's what we're doing tonight. Still talking about this. Don't go anywhere. We're going to take a quick 2-minute break, and we'll be right back. We got Jennifer calling in. We'll get to her in just one moment. And also, we got Jay on the line in Discord. So don't go anywhere.
This is Michael Straw.
Here we go. 2-minute break. More Troubled Minds on the way. Don't go anywhere. Go top off your drink, tuck the kids in, do whatever you got to do. Be right back. Be right back. More Troubled Minds on the way. All right, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we're here tonight talking about this UFO transparency effort. If you can call it an effort, air quotes effort. A day and a half before Thanksgiving, the DoD, the Pentagon, announced, they're creating a new office to probe UFO reports. All right, probe jokes aside, it is, the timing is peculiar ahead of the Kristen Gillibrand actual UAP, UFO transparency bill. And is this as Jeremy Corbell has stated, and even Lou Elizondo now have come out and said that this is not what we wanted. This is not what we signed up for, and it's a bad thing. And so looking to hear your thoughts. One more time, 702-957-1037. And let's go to Jennifer. Jennifer in Missouri. What's happening? Welcome to the show. How are you tonight?
Hey, doing good.
Right on.
Yeah, so I don't think this is this doesn't sound quite right, does it? You know, after all this time of keeping it secretive, being really careful with all the information, and then they've been doing soft exposure, soft disclosure, I guess, exposure, but disclosure for a while now. So to suddenly be like they're going to be completely transparent about it, it doesn't sound right. It seems to me that if they were ever going to do that, there's a problem in regard to the way they've kind of set it all up. Like they've mentioned several times in the past that if there ever was, if aliens ever did come to Earth, if there were ever, the UFOs were, completely out in the open and they were very open about it, that it would be a dangerous situation. So I kind of agree with what some of the other callers had said in that, would it be setting up for the announcement of some kind of planetary defense system or some necessity for that because, they're eventually, not right away, like what they would do with this, I think, is begin to give more and more and more information about it, but they might guide it in a direction to where it's seen as a threat. And then if they were to do that, naturally, because most people are going to feel that it is, if they were to do that, then they'll bring up the idea of a planetary defense system. If they do that, then, and they make it more realistic to people in their minds over years, probably this is the new era of how they're going to handle it. I don't think it'll be an immediate thing. It might, but, I don't think it would be an immediate thing. But you do this thing where they're being transparent about it, and then they start talking about it in maybe the slightest authentic manner that they, this kind of sighting or this kind of occurrence, and just telling us little bits more so rather than they have in the past. And then make it a situation where the whole world has to unite, like it's been said, in order to protect the planet against evil aliens coming in, And what that would do is switch us all over to exactly the kind of plan they would want. So I think it could follow kind of a blue beam thing. I don't think it'll play out exactly how we think it will. If it was going to, I think it would be, this is the next step to being, they've already been they've been researching this since the 60s. I think the Air Force has been handling it since like the 60s. So, I mean, it's not like it's not been handled, but coming out to the public with it fully, and being as if they're being realistic about it so that they can pull some kind of world necessity. They've already done this where the world right now is acting as in one beat. And so, and the United Nations. And so I think that they're going to continue with that if they get to an area where they need a planetary defense thing where we're all coming together because exactly as it's been said and kind of, whispered in the back of the mind of everybody on this planet, I think, that if it ever were to happen, we'd have to all come together to do something about it. And I think it would kind of take that kind of tone. Whether or not it's actually happening that way doesn't matter. But if that's what they think they need to do to get everybody to do what they want them to do, they need to take it a step up from what they already have done and be even more terrifying, more urgent. And so I think that they would be easing into this because the Washington Post, Elon Musk, no, it was Stephen Hawking. Everybody's mentioned this before, that if we did make contact with aliens, we should stop doing it because it'd probably be really bad for humanity. They'd probably try to wipe us out. So I bet that it could be that they're going to start this to kind of ease in a new era of bringing in the idea of it's a real thing and it's a threat.
The threat narrative. Exactly. So this is part of the problem I have with this, and why it really kind of gets me riled up, is that information from the government is always imperfect, and that's being polite. But when we're talking about matters of national security, I don't trust a word that comes from them. Right? I don't. Like it's all propaganda all the time. Exactly. Because well, they don't want us to know. Right? It's again, get me started on taxes and healthcare, but it's our tax money, but we don't have a need to know. And so I do understand, though, because national security wise, there are people whose lives are at stake if information gets out. Okay, that exists. That's a real thing. All right. I'm not so obtuse. I get that part. All right. But there's this whole other thing that this UFO stuff changes the entire dynamic of life as we know it, if this is real. So do we have a right to that, I guess? And so back to that original question, do you think there's ever an amount of pressure that could ever be put on the federal government to give us the real information on this?
No, I don't think so, any more than they give us any information about the actual kind of weapons that they have or anything that they have. They don't tell us that stuff because we're just citizens. And so they have some kind of agenda already going on. I mean, I think the most recent thing they mentioned was that they don't feel like they're prepared to handle or compete with China right now because they have some kind of amazing, ballistic missile that they've, shown in the world, and everybody's kind of intimidated. Why did they do that too? So they're doing all kinds of things. They're kind of making people be like, why would you do that? And then to do this at the same time, it could be to kind of instill a kind of, wow, they're suddenly talking about something we've wanted them to talk about, but do we like that they're talking about it? And then start easing into it a little bit more, and then create, the narrative and carry it on for probably a decade, maybe not that long. I don't know how quickly they're trying to go with this, but it would make sense that they would try to ease it in this way so that they can present the appropriate threat level, which I don't think it could get more extreme, but it would facilitate a necessity for planetary defense system. And at that point, you would have a united government front from all over the world, kind of like we're seeing with the UN playing a bigger role in everything. And it would have to come in that way to actually accomplish what may be being attempted to be accomplished, which it seems to be the case for anyone who's suspicious anyway, or even mildly paranoid. It does look that way. Because you can't expect that the government is always doing what's good for the people. They're going to be doing what's good for them. And if it's good for them to do this now, then it would make sense that we don't know how they're going to present it, but it sounds silly that they're suddenly going to be like, let's just start being honest about this. Let's just tell them what we know. Because they've been giving us that we already know, or we wouldn't have all the information we already have. Every story that we have, every article, anything, any witness of this at all, this is not just carried on by neighbors talking to neighbors. This has been on the media. It's been in TV shows. It's been on the History Channel for a while now, in books, everywhere. That's been a soft disclosure. So we kind of already know. We all know. Anyone who's interested knows. And then it's just on the verge of, do you believe it or not? And there's been some, that's where there's always that. Because whoever hasn't seen it or witnessed anything like that, of course, don't believe it, or might be open to the idea. But unless you see it or experience it, that kind of thing. But if you have the government now they already have. I mean, the government already has admitted to this several times in the past, and people in the military and people at different levels and echelons of the government have already admitted to there being UFOs or unknown, things moving around on the earth that they're not familiar with, craft that they don't understand, they don't understand or recognize. So they've already done that. So to take it this step a little further, the only thing they could be doing is to create the kind of narrative they want you to believe about it, about what it actually is. And that would insinuate, too, that then they do realize either the level of threat or the lack of it. So I don't know. It would be very confusing to see how it all plays out.
Yeah, and we'll see. I think this is, again, just kind of throwing up a flare to try and head off the UAP bill. But even so, I think if you get this into Congress and press, I don't even think they have enough leverage to make this happen, because the DOD is literally charged with, quote, keeping us safe, right? That's what they do, the Department of Defense. And so if you take a crowbar to them and scream and yell at the top of your lungs, I just don't think you're going to get a damn thing. And so it makes me suspicious when they try and front like we're going to get something, when very clearly I think it's obvious, if anybody really thinks deeply about it, we ain't getting shit. It ain't happening. And so
if they do it, the reason is it's going to benefit them in the long run somehow. There's no there's no reason to suddenly do it. So I agree with that. If they haven't, I would assume that they're not going to do it, because they would need to keep that a secret forever, if it's something that they aren't going to use. So they would have to keep that a secret forever. If they are going to use it and tell everyone about it and bring it to the surface and be 100% open with the public about it with full transparency, then it's because they intend to utilize it in some way, probably to get more world dominance, more power over the people.
Fake disclosure. Not the real thing at all.
Well, probably not.
Probably not.
But anyway.
Good stuff. Good stuff as always, Jennifer. You were the best. Anything else while we got you on?
That's it. We'll just keep on listening.
Appreciate the call. Thank you so much. Have a great night. Happy Thanksgiving to you and the family. Take care. Talk to you soon. There you go. If everybody likes Jennifer, which everybody does, follow her on YouTube. Scroll down, link in the description. It says follow Jennifer here. She's got a YouTube channel where she talks about all kinds of amazing stuff. And we got other friends of Troubled Minds down below as well. Give them a follow. What's up? GoDot is saying all kinds of this stuff, right? Here we go. I'm going to read this. They should not do disclosure because it's against national security. They're not saying anything. Wake up. By the way, I've been saying that all night. So just if you're just showing up, just letting you know. Number one, disclosure means giving information. Number two, this project means taking UFO info from public. Opposite of disclosure. Geez Louise. No, they're not. Read the thing. There's a literally November 23rd, immediate release. DOD announces the establishment of the AOIMSG, which is the most horrific acronym ever. But this is what's happening. This is brand new. This is what we're talking about tonight. And what that stands for is the AOIMSG is the Airborne Object Identification and Management Synchronization Group. There you go. You ever wanted to punch yourself in the face after reading some sort of acronym? That's it. But here we go. Today, Deputy Secretary of Defense Kathleen Hicks, in close collaboration with the Director of National Intelligence, directed the Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence and Security to establish within the Office of USDI&S the Airborne Object Identification and Management Synchronization Group as the successor to the U.S. Navy's Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force. This AOIMSG will synchronize efforts across the department and the broader U.S. government to detect, identify, and attribute objects of interest in special use airspace, and to assess and mitigate any associated threats to safety and flight and national security. To provide oversight of the AOIMSG, the Deputy Secretary also directed the USDI&S to lead an Airborne Object Identification and Management Executive Council more acronym, punch yourself in the face, AOIMEXEC, to be comprised of DOD and intelligence community membership and to offer a venue for U.S. government interagency representation. Incursions by any airborne object into our SUA, which again is the special use airspace, poses safety of flight and operations security concerns and may pose national security challenges. DoD takes reports of incursions by any airborne objects, identified or unidentified, very seriously and investigates each one. This decision is the result of planning efforts and collaboration conducted by the OUSDINS and other DoD elements at the direction of Deputy Secretary Hicks to address the challenges associated with assessing UAP occurring on or near DoD training ranges and installations, highlighted in the DNI preliminary assessment report submitted to Congress in June 2021. The report also identified the need to make improvements in processes, policies, technologies, and training to improve our ability to understand UAP. In the coming weeks, the department will issue implementing guidance, which will contain further details of the AOIMSG director, organizational structure, authorities, and resourcing. And there you go. And exactly, that's talk about word salad. Talk about exactly. GoDot's right. It's they're not telling us anything. You're right there. But I think this is the problem: is that they are trying to head off this transparency effort somehow, some way. I don't know. Yeah, if you got a thought there, GoDot, love to hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037, and let's go to. Actually goes for everybody. We're open lines, and we take your phone calls. So that's what the show's all about. See there, Joe in Florida, which we're going to go to your phone call in just a sec. Liam says, it's not against national security if the national security orders are illegal. Well, I guess it depends on who you ask, right? It always depends on who you ask. So anyway, there we go. 702-957-1037. Let's go to Joe in Florida. What's up, brother? How you doing? Happy Thanksgiving.
Oh, I'm a little bit... Yes, you too. I'm a little bit late to the show.
That's all right. I forgive you.
So all I remember was I was eating some turkey. I saw a bright light. And I passed out.
Missing time.
Saying it was aliens.
Missing time.
But it was aliens.
It was aliens. Totally was aliens. Absolutely.
Yeah, missing time and missing some tequila.
Right. Yeah. Fair enough. What are your thoughts on this? This new thing.
I think I haven't heard most of the show, but I think we're all in agreement. A lot of it to me is the shell game. We said it before. It's an excuse. I mean, you could only pass off to the general public why a wrench costs $5,000 in a black budget. So you got to start admitting things. And I said before too, what is the one thing? Quite a few things that this presidency hasn't canceled, and that's the Space Force. When we hear those Air Force pilots, again, you hear the interviews with those pilots talking about the UAPs, when they claim it's something that's so advanced and we can't keep up with it, and yada, 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 it sounds like it's an excuse for it. We need more money. Now, if it was a real threat, do you think money would be the object? Do you think money, and I guess what I'm getting at is, do you think the budget would be what keeps us behind? Would we even need a budget? If it was a genuine threat, I think every country in the world would be like, we got to pay people, but we got to build this too, despite what it's going to cost, or how much money we're going to print.
Yeah, the cost be damned. Yep.
Yeah, cost be damned. That's exactly it. At the same time, I see things like Israel just leaked something out that they've tested some multi-functioning laser defense system that can target multiple targets at once. And I think electronic, not hit them with weapons, but electronic countermeasure them, jam them effectively. So when you look at what hypersonic missiles are doing, I mean, we had a space race in the 80s, which was totally false. I mean, when we put Russia out of business, those ideas of SDI were great ideas, but we were years and we still don't have them totally developed. But now there's a genuine threat from other countries.
Right.
And
well, killer satellites.
arguing,
yeah.
We've slipped to hypersonic missiles, exactly. We've slipped on that footing for being the top. We've absolutely slipped. So amid all the chaos and all the distraction and the virus and who voted for who and the machines and the trials and all of that, I wonder what they slipped in that bill. I mean, I'm not a proponent for either party, but for crying out loud, they're printing more money just so they can tax me on it again and take it out of me. It pales beyond comparison. It just pales. It absolutely pales.
You called just to trigger me. They're going to tax me and then tax me on the taxes and then tax me on the taxes that they taxed and they taxed again. Ah!
Exactly. On the money they just printed out, it didn't fucking air. We're after midnight. So, and it didn't fucking air when it keep getting taxed. I mean, where does it end? Here's the thing. Is there something going on here? Yeah, I totally believe that. Keep it to themselves. I totally believe that. If we were a threat, something would have been done a long time ago.
Yeah, no.
So whatever's here, and the other thing that gets me is whatever's here, I honestly think is underneath the ocean. And what area have we not explored? Underneath the ocean. And maybe the moon.
Maybe the moon. Well, it'd be easy to hide if they were on the moon, right? Just underground. Anywhere. I mean, even on Mars, just underground. Even satellites wouldn't pick them up, right? Yeah. I don't know.
Exactly. So, but we need another advance in technology and any excuse to push it. I mean, the combustion engine, fuels, nothing's changed. Nothing's changed, and maybe at some point in time, petroleum is finally going to run out. Who the hell knows? But, the other sideways thought is this. If we're really in a simulation that has to keep going, then maybe the petroleum is just going to refill itself underneath the ground, and we'd never know, because we would just keep finding it.
Yeah, I was about to say, every time it seems like we're about to run out, we find some huge old reservoir somewhere in the ground. We're like, oh, yay, exactly. We're saved. It's ridiculous.
Exactly.
It's ridiculous.
We're saved, and then, whoever's looking at the sea monkeys in the aquarium and saying, look at those dumbasses, they're still doing it the same way. So,
I
don't know, but again, it's an excuse to build technology. I mean, if war is the mother of invention, it's obviously we can't keep fighting each other because the casualties would be astronomically terrible compared to the last war.
Yeah,
we all know what that means.
Yeah, that's what Robert was saying. He thinks this is some sort of operation, some sort of info op, where they're massaging whatever it's going to be, whatever the next thing is going to happen. Because he said, in the old days, you would, once the money ran out and you had like this huge economic collapse, you just go to war and it fixes it all up, right? But the next war could be the last war. So it's not like that anymore. You can't just do that to fix it up. So he thinks that there's other ways that people are going to, the governments of the world are going to massage it in the direction they want, right? And with the information, with whatever they want us to believe, with, again, the Great Reset, with the things that we're talking about here. You will own nothing and you will be happy, things like this, right? So I think that's the war. The war is no longer the military-industrial complex just kind of getting itself out of a depression or a recession. It's instead, right, the war is on us because we have to, if we start to understand what's actually happening, and many people do, you can't feed everybody, can you, in an artificial scarcity world?
No. And that's certainly true. I mean, there was an article this week, it blew my mind because, when when all this COVID started, I think a lot of us here were like, the birth rate is going to decline. And I'm reading an article this last week that says, experts thought that there would be a baby boom. And I'm like, what crack are those experts smoking? We couldn't even get a straight answer. We still can't get a straight answer on the virus. And you would think that people with half a brain would be like, maybe I really shouldn't have a kid because, the economy went to crap in 07. We got this going on. We got that going on. It seems like every 8 to 10 years, there's some massive BS that pushes us in the direction of something like it's a timeline. And if they actually do want to pare down the population, you're exactly right, artificial scarcity, diseases and pandemics, we obviously know. Okay, if 700,000 people perish just in this country alone compared to worldwide, that's a lot less people having children. That's a lot less resources. Could we probably sustain the planet? There probably are better ways to do it. But again, if there's other countries that have a better idea, they're still working with American money. And we have the ways and means to hold that up. If it's going to take away from, I guess, the old oligarchs and the old money that run the country and run the world. So there's that whole shift, and not to mention if, on the other end of it, if we are really holding technology, why would we want to make it totally public? Again, if you believe in what happened at Roswell, you believe in the technology explosion, those things are being held out and they're being released, drip drop, drip drop, drip drop. Just so that somebody can make a profit and make money on it. I mean, there's no reason to save the planet unless you can make money on it. So we'll just sit there and debate it till the time comes. But anyway, good subject. And I'm sitting out back here looking at the moon, debating on if I want to eat some leftovers.
Round two. Go get it, Joe. Go get it, Joe. You're the best. I appreciate the call, my friend. Have a fantastic night. Happy Thanksgiving to you and the family, okay?
Have a good night, you too. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot, man. There you go. Simple as that. You want to be part of the show? Open lines to everybody, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We're talking about this DOD release, and it goes a little something like this. The DOD announces the establishment of the Airborne Object Identification and Management Synchronization Group, the AOIMSG. And, well, yeah. In case you ever wanted your acronym, I don't know, badness, here's acronym badness, double plus bad. Well, what this means is probably nothing, right? I think that's probably what we're talking about here is that, what do you think? Do you think that finally the Pentagon has come around and decided that after 80 years, approximately, that we have this a situation where they're going to give us the disclosure that we want? Well, I don't think so. I don't think so. And again, so the question from the beginning of the night when we started is, do you think there's any amount of pressure that the people of the world could put on the governments of the world, short of violence and turning the whole system over? Is there any amount of peaceful pressure that could be put on the governments of the world to actually give us disclosure of whether extraterrestrials are real and have been in contact? What about Roswell? What about all the rest of the stuff? What about the Tic Tacs? They sure as hell sold the hell out of that narrative, didn't they? And so that's part of the problem I have. If they have, I always say this, I've said this, I'm going to keep saying this. If they have 3 videos, they have 30 videos. If they have 30 videos, they have 3,000 videos. If they have that many videos, there are terabytes of information. Let's see it. But we're not going to see it, are we? So no matter what, this is what I'm talking about. So really what we're talking about tonight is UFO activism. Do you think it even matters? Though the most important thing here is if UFOs are real in the extraterrestrial sense, or that they're not us, right? Whether that's ultra-terrestrials or dimensional or whatever the hell you want to call them, right? Is if that's true, it changes everything, doesn't it? It changes literally the paradigm of how we live and how we understand life as we know it, as we experience it. It changes everything. But, and that's why it's so highly contentious and people are so passionate about the subject and all the rest of this. But I'm open to this all being a bunch of hooey propaganda, right? Some sort of something, right? Some sort of a disinformation campaign going all the way back to Roswell and even before that. So, and I'm not saying that UFOs aren't real. I've seen weird stuff in the sky too. I'm not the only one. There's tons of people out there have seen weird stuff in the sky. My point is that how much of that is ours and how much of that is not. That's my point. And if some of it is not ours, not China's, not Russia's, not any military on Earth that we know of. We have a different thing entirely. And that's what we're talking about. And do you think that suddenly the Pentagon changed its mind after 80 years of BS and 80 years of the National Security Act and 80 years of all the rest of this? What do you think? And that's what we're talking about tonight. If you want to be a part of the show, 702-957-1037. Open lines to everybody, and lots of good chat out there. I see you guys. What's up, Tam Bam? Thanks for showing up. I see you. Go Dot. What's up, Angela? How are you? Angel Wings, I see you. Who else is here? Let's see. Singe Man. It's a one world government for over 200 years. China, Russia. Nice. Yeah, right. Exactly. What else do we got? Who else is here? Exactly. I mean, this is the same stuff that I've been talking about for quite some time now. I'm suspicious of these disclosure efforts because they don't seem to be honest to me. And the advocates for disclosure that think they're actually gaining headway, I disagree 100%. 100% I disagree, because I don't think there's enough pressure you could ever put on a government of the world to give us this information. I don't think so. And I'm not advocating violence, please. I've said that 5-6 times. I'm going to continue saying that. I'm not saying that now we got to get the torches and pitchforks. I'm not saying that. Okay, so I just want to make that clear. I'm saying, is there a level of peaceful demonstration that will bring about actual disclosure of what UFOs really are? And I don't think so. I think the answer to that is no. That's my opinion. But like I said, I could be wrong. And so I'm looking to hear from you. That's the question tonight. That's what's on my mind. So if you guys have ideas on this, and why now? Again, a day and a half from Thanksgiving. Here we go. We have the DOD announcing the establishment of the Airborne Object Identification and Management Synchronization Group. Right? Say that 3 times fast. I dare you. Don't fumble. Right? But this is, I don't know. This is dare I say, too little, too late? Dare I say, more nothing burgers, more lip service, more big acronyms to say we're doing things that people want? No. Like, there's a whole bunch of this. Check this out. So Lou Elizondo came and has said this. Everybody knows good old Lou Elizondo. This is what he said, right? He's saying that this thing that we just talked about, this AOMSMSG, is fake UFO transparency, UAP UFO. And Lou Elizondo, of course, the former director of ATIP, said this. Important update. Before anyone gets too excited about the recent Pentagon announcement of the new UAP group, please consider the following. USDI is precisely the same organization that has underplayed and tried to kill the UAP effort for years. He continues to be. USDI is an oversight organization and non-operational. C. Nowhere is there a requirement to provide unclassified findings to Congress or work with our international partners. 3. Given that elements still exist in the Pentagon who are actively underplaying the significance of this topic, this is akin to giving an alcoholic the key and control to the liquor cabinet. 4. If you want to maintain UAP UFO secrecy, this is exactly how you do it. And number 5, this is a direct and blatant attempt to circumvent and undermine the Senate. And yeah, there we go. Yeah, I brought you in earlier, Jay. Come on in, buddy. All right, so, and this is what I'm saying, right? This is not... So Lou Elizondo seems to think that there is enough pressure you can put on Congress to actually get real disclosure. All right? And he worked inside the government and knows enough about the way these things work to be able to say this, right? But I don't know. I don't think that's... I still don't think so. Really, at what point are they just going to shut him up, At what point are they going to threaten him and say, the next word you say, you're going to jail? You know what I mean? If he's a real whistleblower, right, then shouldn't he get whistleblower status? There's a whole bunch of stuff that kind of stinks here. And he's even come out and said some things that are sort of... let's say provocative, right? Not sort of, just blatantly provocative. Well, that doesn't sound like he hems and haws and all the rest of that. But some of that provocative stuff that he says doesn't seem like something you would expect from a DOD employee, right? Like they would kind of just keep it buttoned up and not really say anything. So I don't know, there's some suspicious stuff going on with this. I don't know exactly what's going on. And yeah, Yeah, I don't know. You tell me. What are your thoughts on this? As always, I'm just one dude. I'm just trying to figure out the world just like everybody else is. And this stuff, to me, it all reeks of just shenanigans, of absolute kabuki theater, absolute nothing will come of this. Nothing. My opinion. I want somebody to prove me wrong. Not prove me wrong, at least get me off that cliff where I'm like, okay, well, there's no chance. No chance. Think of it. This is power. We're literally asking the powers that be to give up the secret of the power. That's what we're asking for. So I don't know. What's up, Jay? I hear you there.
Hey, Mike. Yeah, I'm just fantastic show. I mean, the way that we think about things when we bring them up it's amazing. You know, I personally know people that have been on a shuttle recovery team. Sorry, I'm trying to shut off the background noise. 33 years I knew a guy who was on the shuttle recovery team. The shuttle didn't go up for 15, 20 of those years. Those guys were going out there and doing training exercises, whatever. They would load all the stuff up into the fire trucks and hook the trailer up to it and go out there and do it. I mean, the stories are starting to come out now. You know, the guys are getting dementia. They're telling stories when they're drinking booze at Thanksgiving and all that thing. They can't hide it from us anymore. You know, we found my uncle's diary from when they were doing tests on Bikini Atoll. You know, it just... those crazy things are out there, but the problem is we can't get those people together to talk about it because we get censored or taken down because somebody brings up the vax or the jab or whatever, and then that YouTube channel gets like thrown away to the side. You're not allowed to have the subscribers that you did before. You don't get the notifications, the whatever. We're not allowed to have those conversations because it's intelligent people actually getting together and throwing those ideas into a blender. I mean, there's no such thing as a dumb idea if we're having a conversation about whatever it is. You know, this one is fantastic. And the thought that you brought up that they did it right before Thanksgiving, so everyone's watching football and eating turkey and drinking booze for the next 4 or 5 days. They're going to forget about it.
They're going to forget about it. Exactly. Or it never happened. It goes into the memory hole. And, you know, booze, football, and turkey, and the Monday comes and the long weekend, and the news cycle is something else. It's going to be, it'll be on the Ghislaine Maxwell trial and Jeffrey Epstein for just a moment until, now this is what's going to happen. Mark my words. The Michael Strange, Mike Stradamus prediction says this. They're going to do everything they can to steer the narrative off of that Ghislaine Maxwell trial. And we'll see what that happens to be. What kind of culture war drama they can stir up. What kind of who knows what else is going on. Watch.
All that was a big to-do at the Thanksgiving dinner today at the family.
Which one?
You know, Maxwell. Epstein.
Yep.
Well, wait a minute. This is that and the other thing. And it's like, well, you're talking about the richest of the rich doing some of the evilest things you could possibly imagine. And that was really hard for me to hold my tongue on what I really wanted to say there.
Well, it's not worth blowing up the family. Not worth blowing up the family. Don't do
that. But I mean, even in the conversation that you and I are having here, does not use the F-bomb every other word. It's like those people should be taken out in the woods and dipped in honey and set in a bear trap. You know, I mean, just those are the evilest of the people. I mean, all the things that all of us plebs think about all the time. We're out there, we're doing our jobs, we're building the buildings, the houses, the whatever. You know, putting the packages into the things and stuff like that. And those are things that they don't want us to think about. All these horrible things go on, but who are the people that are actually really doing? It's the why, Mike. I always go back to the why, and as soon as I ask the why, it always comes down to the money.
And power. Don't forget power. Power is more important than money, because whatever monetary system collapses, if you have the power, you get to rewrite it in whatever way favors you. Money is less important. Power is the most important thing.
I guess it depends on your definition of money, you know.
Yeah, well, it's...
Are you guys sitting there with a bunch of bullets and beans, or are you guys sitting there with a bunch of money?
Or all of the above, and all the farmland in the United States, right? And all the bunkers and all the strategic places, and all the bullets and all the beans. That's what I mean by power. Money
coming from the guy who's building one right now. The place is 7,000 square feet.
Yeah.
It's got 4 bathrooms in it, 3 half baths in it. It's got a nice little handy spot for all 14 people downstairs in the basement.
Right.
With movie screen and the reclining chairs like you're at AMC.
Yep.
Oh, that's no problem to us.
Yeah.
We'll just write it out and watch DVDs for the next 2 months and eat.
Exactly. You know? You're right. You're right. Well, hold on though. So what do you think is going on here? So it is like a kind of a bizarre that it kind of clunks out before Thanksgiving, like they do want us to forget it. But then what? Like, what's the next step, right? So why do they do this if they want it to kind of disappear from our memories, so they can point back to it and say, look, we're doing this, right? Like I said, there's a lot of ways you would do this if you were honest about it, and this seems like a dishonest effort. But like as does many things coming from the government, the whole DOD and all the rest of this, right? And I don't know, like they say there's factions of the DOD inside the Pentagon that claim that UFOs are space demons, demons, and they don't want to start the war between God and the rapture and all the rest of this, right? I don't know. Like, I just depends.
Well,
on
the stuff that Kelly brings up all the time. I mean, the ancient Sumerians and all that stuff. I mean, I really do pay attention to what everybody says, but it's almost like it might have been brought up today is that the flood is across multiple religions, relatively close at the same time. Those things happened. It was the verbal last night and the after hours thing. It was the verbal part of it. I'm telling you a story. Jennifer's telling us a story. Robert, Mike, everybody is telling us these stories, and we're hearing firsthand accounts of it or personal experiences that individuals take on that. And we're getting to a point, I really think that with all the other things, so it's kind of like where Robert was going, and I don't want to do that until after the show is over and it's not broadcast by any other means. Say that you got caught lying. We know that you're lying. You know that we know that you're lying and been doing it for 50 years. The disclosure that's coming out with what the Pentagon is coming out and going to say to us in the next 2, 3, 5 months, year, 2, 5, 10, 20, whatever, is going to be, they're going to give us the real dirt on what happened at Roswell. And that's going to be 65 years past. It doesn't matter what happened 65 years ago. Yes, I really want to know what happened at Roswell and all that stuff. But what's actually going on today? They launched a satellite. Someone put in the chat there that they launched the asteroid-altering satellite up there today. At the same time that they pulled back the observatory satellite. Well, we'll give it a couple of weeks. I mean, that's billions and billions of dollars daily that they're making decisions like that on. They're lying.
They're lying.
Those guys are just, I mean, they're just some dead flat lying.
They're full of shit.
And the stuff that they're going to tell us is going to be that, yeah, these guys that, were out there in the golf cart, cruising around, smashed one into the Arizona desert. They ain't from around here. That's all we really got on them. But the thing is, though, is 50 years down the road worth of things that came of that, I built a building across the street from the fire department at a relatively secure base on listening centers and all that. It's just, it's a joke, man. Everybody's hiding everything from everybody. You're not allowed to talk about it. You sign agreements because you're getting, double of your normal pay to go in there and build or do whatever. I mean, those people are getting older now. They don't care. I'm going to die. The money that they left me with the 401k and the financial advice that was coming out today, I spent my life doing this. I got mortgage payment that 30-year going on. I'm counting on this retirement package. Well, my retirement package is paid off. I got my house. I got my Social Security. I don't give a shit. When I go out to the bar, I want to talk to people about this because it's crazy. The stuff that I saw, the guys I used to work at a bar. I didn't even get paid. The only reason why I worked there is because you had the chance to talk to the World War II vets, the belly gunners, and the guys that were hanging out the side of it with a 50 caliber machine gun and stuff like that. You get to listen to their stories, the things that they saw and stuff like that, the knowledge that is lost on a daily basis because we've thrown ourselves into a situation where we don't talk to each other anymore. I mean, that's what's awesome about what happens here is that people are telling their stories and they're talking about it. And it's social interaction. We're going to be here. Those elite guys, they're never going to make it up to their camp in the upstate mountains and stuff like that. The aliens come, to be honest with everybody, let's really think about it. The guy that spent $5 million building a cabin out in the middle of nowhere in the woods is probably going to go out in the first blast in New York City. So that place is just going to be sitting there.
Yeah, it could be, and that's part of this too. Is that the money is moving out, right? They're setting up these doomsday bunkers and whatnot, and that's part of this. Like how much of this is, sort of war rumblings, like saber rattling and the rest of that type of stuff, and how much of this is, who knows, like economic collapse, like Robert was saying. How much of this is UFOs and this Pentagon stuff? I'm really doubting, right, that the more I see disinformation propaganda coming from the Pentagon, that this is even real anymore, right? I think that's part of the weirdness to this. It's like the more I'm like, all right, it's propaganda constantly. And it seems like the people that are trying to press this are not insiders at all. I mean, so you have Lou Elizondo, like he's the insider, but I don't know. Like a lot of this, again, plot holes. It seems extremely suspicious, all of this. And so I don't know. You tell me. I don't know. What are your thoughts on this? And then let's get the hell out of here. It is Thanksgiving. People got eggnog and shit to drink. So let's get your final thought here on what the UFO stuff is. What do you think they're trying to keep us from? And what's next?
What's next? No idea. But the whole thought, and there's a reason why those people with tons and tons of money are moving out of the big cities, and they've got their fancy little homes out in the woods. And why? I don't know why. I've been trying to figure it out for 20 years, Mike. You pay a whole crew of people to come out in the middle of nowhere and build you some big fancy thing that 3 times a year some of these people show up at their places. We're talking $1 million, $500,000, 2.5, building stuff out there. What are they doing? I really want to know. You don't have that much money by doing things that are stupid. Why are those people spending that kind of money to do those kind of things? I mean, I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm rattling on.
It's all right.
Thanksgiving. It's time to go.
It's not time to go. I got a question here from Lily, who lives in Australia. She wants to know, I thought you drank eggnog at Christmas. Can you tell us about eggnog real quick? I'm going to step away. Floor is yours for a minute. Please explain eggnog to our international friends. I'll be right back.
Yes, we don't really drink eggnog. We throw the eggnog out and just drink the rum because eggnog is nasty. Yeah, I mean, it's traditions and the things that we look at. It's like, exactly. I mean, I noticed today that a lot of the people from the other places that were calling was just a happy Thanksgiving. And in the States, this is the time that we think of all the things that we're thankful for, but we're not thankful for much of anything. We look into these things and stuff like that, and we want to know more. And I'm really curious as to how all of these things are coming together at an unbelievable rapid pace. And it's almost like we're hiding something, or we're dealing with something that we know is coming, but we don't want to talk about until it's right in front of our face.
I'm here. Thank you.
Hey, Mike.
Thank you.
No problem.
Jennifer says, I love eggnog. There you go. I don't...
really?
Well, I don't know. There's people that drink it. I guess Derek, the Night Stalker, loves eggnog too. It's one of those weird ones, right? Some people drink it like it's a little too thick and for me. Like the texture.
Yeah.
I don't like it. Like I said, throw it out, drink the rum. That's so the old traditional eggnog is spiked. The newer stuff for the kids is not, and I think it's all nasty. I'd rather just drink the rum. I'm with you. But yeah, all right. Anyway, so eggnog is good, and so basically the Christmas season begins now. So from now till the fever pitch shopping and Christmas and all the rest of the stuff is from now till Christmas, and so that's why it's eggnog season officially. So anyway, let's get the hell out of here. You got a J-tro for us, my friend?
I do.
All right. So traditionally on the show, when Jay's got some time, he shows up with a nice outro quote for us, and we call it the J-tro. Just a quick shout out to GoDot out there, just saying like it's fine, right? It's okay to tell us your ideas, but literally ridiculing everything over and over again, saying, do I have to spell it out for you with the facepalm emoji? You get on my nerves a little bit, all right? So if that's not your intention, I understand it's hard to take context from chat. You're probably like here preaching to the choir, but that's not what this show is about. We're not here to like get on each other and say, I know it all and you don't, right? That's not what this is about. So I just want to make sure you understand what I'm saying. If I misunderstood, I apologize, and that's on me. But that seemed a little saucy, the attitude. So just throwing it out there. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I apologize. But let me know. Get back to me. You know where to find me on Discord. But okay, so let's do it, Jay. So traditionally, Jay with the outro, and more importantly, happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. Happy. Like I said, now that we move into the next day after, they call this Black Friday. Don't forget, just because the one day that we're supposed to be thankful passed, we can't be thankful tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day after that. So just don't forget those things. Those are some of the most important things, in my opinion. And let's keep doing it. Let's keep on talking. As you know, Troubled Minds goes Monday through Thursday, so this is actually sort of our Friday. We do a news show on Monday and Friday. And, it's at 3 p.m. on Twitch. So we'll see you tomorrow, Black Friday, doing 3 p.m. Twitch, TMR, new Troubled Minds news style, and we'll see you then as we do the get geared up for the J-tro. I'll tune this in so you can hear the music, Jay. And here we go. Let's play this.
Oh, that's cool, Mike. Thank you.
You got it.
Be grateful for every second of every day that you get to spend with the people that you love. Life is so precious.
It feels like there should be more after that. It feels like it ended too soon, Jay.
Well, brevity is the soul of wit sometimes, Mike.
That's completely true. Can you read it one more time for me, just because it was so short? Pretty please.
Be grateful for every second of every day that you get to spend with the people that you love. Life is so very precious.
There it is. Hard to argue with that. As we finish, this is the thing, right? This once again, this is not church. This is not the answer show. This is the question show. This is a conversation show. So that's what we get together. We get together and talk about things and all the angles and all the ideas. Clearly, if you want to just have one single angle on something, you can do that. But I mean, it's I just don't think ridiculing people is the way to go. So that's so if I'm a little out of line there, I apologize for my own actions. But if I'm wrong, correct me. All right. So anyway, I'm willing to be wrong. So it's all good. So here we go. As we finish Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific is Troubled Minds. We do a couple hours on radio, then a third hour off the radio to take more phone calls and kind of have just a better conversation, hang out with the chat and with all the fine folks that spend their time with us, which again is a very, very important thing, and I thank you all for that. And yeah, that's what's up. So let's get the hell out of here. Everybody, happy Thanksgiving. Don't forget, be thankful tomorrow as well and the next day. And as we finish, Jay knows the outro. It goes a little something like this. Actually, I'll do Jay's. Jay likes this one. The bad news is we're done. The good news is, God willing, we have tomorrow. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night.
Thanks, Mike.
You got it, buddy. Thanks for hanging out with us, man. God bless you in the
gobble, gobble, gobble.
Amen, sir. Amen, sir.